Hello.
Hello.
Are you the city planner for the city of Monroe?
No, I am a developer with SGS Development.
Oh, cool.
And
I
you,
I work with Metro Planning. I'm here to ask some questions to the city planner.
perfect. Perfect. Hopefully we'll get the city planner.
Right out.
Are you from the up in the Portland area?
I go to school at University of Oregon, so I'm in Eugene.
Oh, okay. I have a couple of $50,000 hats from the University of Oregon after sending 3 kids there.
I hope they were worth it.
Yeah, one of them, let's see, journalism, and she's a stay-home mom, but has 3 wonderful kids, and then one health. Let's see, I can't remember, some health degree, and she's
Oh
a real
wow.
broker doing well. And the other one was another health degree. I don't know what they are, but so you're in urban planning?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I've got a Oregon State lady here that had sustainable housing and planning. Uh,
Cool.
she does a great job for us. She's a lot smarter than I am.
That's good to hear. There's work out there.
Yeah, no, it's both of those are very, very good schools. Nobody could ever say anything negative against either one of them, quite honestly.
Right now. I think we are in the meeting now.
Good.
Looks like. May-
Hey, we'll be starting in just a couple minutes, guys.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Just either go later or then this is those you get the stuff for the later, yeah.
Everybody make sure their mic's on. Call
Turn
this
mics
meeting-
on.
Make sure.
Shannon, go ahead and put your.
All right, let's call this meeting to order and let's begin with a pledge of allegiance. Sure. Go. You.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
And if we could
start to my left and go around, just say your name so that it's on the record.
Torrin Nielsen here.
Cuthbertson present.
John Grudanis present.
David Mills, present. Tim Eastridge here.
Linda Fredericks here.
Michael Bidwell here.
Shannon Cross here.
Dan Sheets here.
And who?
Ted Anderson from SGS Development.
Oh, we've got folks online. Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Chet.
Chet Antonson, SGS Development.
Thank you. Who's next?
I'm Harry Rail. I'm from Metro Planning.
Great. Who else?
I'm Haley Lesh. I'm agent of some owners of property in Monroe and just had a quick issue to talk about.
Okay. I think we got one other person on.
what other, looks like Serge is on.
We can't- There we go. Now we can hear you.
Okay, Serge of Pacific National Development.
Okay,
Great,
welcome.
thank you.
We don't normally have this many online. This is gonna be kind of a. Yes.
I'm Shannon Cross, the newest member of the city of Monroe, just started yesterday. So, hello, everyone.
Welcome, welcome.
She's-
City office.
So city administrator and city recorder.
Awesome. Welcome,
Thank
welcome.
you.
Good luck.
Good to have
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, let's start by reviewing the minutes of June 3rd.
I don't remember calling the meeting to order. I thought it was you.
It was Fred.
I thought it was Fred.
Maybe it was me. I think I might have been running late that night.
It doesn't matter if you're not offended.
And you never offend me.
Did you find anything wrong with these minutes?
I wasn't here, so I couldn't go through them.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes as read.
Have a motion to have a second.
We'll second that motion.
Okay, let's all in favor of approving the minutes for June 3rd, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the minutes have been approved.
You didn't even close.
Okay, at this point, we're gonna take public comments. It's not really on here, but we're gonna do it. And if you could limit your comments to around 3 minutes or so. And please keep it on topic.
So I don't know if this mic is on.
If not, Dan, that one is on there. Do you want to just have them come up to the chair there?
Can you guys hear me on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
So we'll need to have whoever's here who wants to make a comment, we'll have them come up.
Anybody that's in the building want to make a comment? No. We had somebody online that had a question. Katie, was that you
I think it might have been Haley.
or Haley?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up a concern I had about the property I'm talking about is 555 Depot Street. And I believe that the council met and approved it December 4th of 2023. I sent the notice of public hearing to Dan Sheets' email this afternoon. So maybe, I don't know if you guys could pull that up and review it at some point, but we just really need some kind of, like, after it was approved at that hearing on December 4th, 2023, I was in contact with Steve Martinenko, and he was basically saying he would get me some formal write-up that I could show, you know, potential tenants or people interested in the property, just that it was a conditional use to use it as a retail location. And I just wanted to see if we could get some resolution to that approval, because we never got kind of the like final loose ends tied up on getting anything in writing, but we did get that approval pushed through in 2023.
So I've seen the email, but I wasn't on planning commission, so I don't know what all happened in December of 2024. So we'll have to look back. 2023, excuse me.
That was a minute ago.
Yeah,
So-
we're gonna have to review those minutes. I know there was a lot of discussion. There was about the use of that space that as a mixed use for commercial and light industrial.
Right.
And I don't recall what the specifics of, I don't know what they were asking at that point. I do know that we did approve it to have a mixed use of commercial and light industrial, but there was gonna be some conditions on handicap and some other stuff, parking and stuff, but I don't remember all the details. I would hate to give you bad information. And so we're-
Yeah, I guess I would just appreciate it if you all would review it, and then if we could get some kind of formal approval and a few conditions in writing. We have done some improvements per our conversations with Steve that I know you guys weren't privy to, but we're just ready to comply with whatever is necessary and would love to get some approval in writing after your review.
Okay. Well, thank you. And yeah, let's see if we, yeah, do you have something, Michael?
This is Michael Bidwell. I have a folder for it. I need to see like confirm that the decision letters in there in the staff report. Just to
Okay.
see, and that's one of the folders that's on my desk. So I can take a look at that. So I'll just have Dan forward me that email. I'm in on Tuesdays. And so
Okay.
that'll be something I can do on Tuesday morning, next Tuesday morning.
All right.
I'm here, and then be able to get you like what any next steps that you might need to do.
Sounds great. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good evening.
555 Depot
Thank you.
Street. That's
It's the
Hi.
umbrella stuff. We're
on that side or to this side?
that side,
The one that used to
the north
have-
side. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else online that want to make some public comments at this time?
Chet Antonson, SGS Development, are we on the agenda to discuss the North Brickworks property? If not, I'd like to talk about it, but if we're on the agenda, I'll wait for it to come up on the agenda.
I don't think we have.
I don't see you on the agenda.
Okay.
So.
Um,
I don't know if Michael has an update. I mean, you just got back, so
Oh, and then which one was this? I did the
Brickyard.
Brickyard.
yeah.
And originally we tried to do a pre-application meeting, and on my side it failed because there was not enough internet connection. So it made it frustrating. So I need to work with all of the people to do a pre-application meeting and see kind of like what next steps are. One thing that could be a potential obstacle as I was looking through things, because I wanted to see where the overlay district was at and see how far it went. So the part that it could be a potential, that would be an issue, I should say, is anything zoned industrial that's outside of the highway overlay district. And the reason that's going to be an issue is that in the Oregon land use law, I believe it's Rule 9, there has to be showing the 20-year inventory of industrial lands. And if all of that is rezoned, that's currently industrial, that would leave no functional supply of industrial land. So we would be in violation of Oregon land use law with recommendation of approval. Part of the property is already zoned residential, so that part won't be the issue, and things inside the overlay. So that'd be part that would be in discussion with the redo of the pre-app meeting. So what I can do is, and I'll have to do it from Philomath on Thursday because I don't work Wednesdays anymore there, is to try to see if we can schedule a meeting for next Tuesday. And now I have a workaround, so I'll at least be able to do the pre-app meeting online for the people who wouldn't be able to attend. So we can discuss that further, because that's going to kind of change a little bit of how the scope of where things are going to be based on that site plan and concept plan that I saw.
just a tiny bit of history. I went back with this a long time, many years, but in this most recent iteration, I had a meeting with Steve in January, maybe early February. With the same concept plan, with the exception that I had not included the Loving property, which is the property south of Mill Street. And Steve started off with the same kind of conversation as you just verbalized, Michael, about the industrial overlay. And then he said, I don't see that as a problem because it's not a good industrial area and we need housing before we're going to need industrial. And I'm actually not new at this. I've been doing it about 40 years now. And so I know what you're saying. I know the state land use laws. And that's one issue we need to talk to, and that would probably kill the project. However, I have been told very opposite stories about sanitary sewer. Now, I think Serge is on the line, and I believe his company was told there to do the property south of Loving Street, there wasn't a sanitary sewer issue. Now, I was first told that there was the sanitary sewer issue was a degraded pipe running from roughly the point where it decides to go across to the sewage treatment plant and going north to probably, I think it's about Oak Street or something. And the pipe was degrading, and I believe it was a 10-inch line or something. And then most recently, I believe it was from Michael. It might not have been you, Michael, but we were told that there's a capacity issue in the sewer line crossing the Long Tom River and into the sewage treatment plant. Well, quite honestly, it doesn't matter what the property is zoned if there's no capacity in that line, and it's going to be the responsibility of a developer to upgrade that line. It wouldn't be financially feasible to do the project. So yes, what we're looking for is, any zoning issues we might have, because we have been being told, myself and Kevin O'Meara, for about 4 or 5 years now, that the industrial zone change would not be an issue. What you just said, Michael, was the very first I've heard that it's going to be a big issue, or an issue, I guess. It doesn't matter if it's big at this point. So we would much rather have, the answers quickly so we can write this off or get it off our plate. Same with the sanitary sewer. I'm going to guess there's not an issue with water. We haven't heard of one yet. But we don't see, we're not the right developer for industrial properties. And as it turns out, I believe even some of the Loving property south of Mill Street is also zoned industrial. So that's kind of a major thing. And so, Michael, if we could get a reading on that sooner rather than later, we'd be very appreciative of it. And I'm going to guess it's the Public Works Director. I think we were told when we met with you, or when we talked to you, Michael, that the city did not have a contract civil engineer at the time. I don't know if that's been changed since then, but
In progress. It is currently in progress still, last I heard, and what Dan confirmed just a moment ago.
So who makes the decision? I guess, where do we have to get a decision on the sanitary sewer, whether there is a capacity issue? I mean, obviously a capacity issue is completely different than a degraded pipe issue. And is that the Public Works Director, or will you be waiting for a civil engineer, or do you have somebody that's a contract company maintaining your sewage treatment plant?
And that would be when a civil engineer comes online to be able to assess everything of whether where we're at as a capacity issue. And from what I was told and I had a conversation with Mark in Public Works, is that it had to do with the size of the pipe. So Long Tom And the city was in the works of getting a pedestrian bridge that sewer infrastructure was going to be on that, which would have resolved that potential, like the issue with capacity as the pipe gets smaller going over the Long Tom River under the bridge. So that's the one thing that has to be mitigated, and whether there's going to be a moratorium on development until there's a solution. That's another piece that still it hasn't been fully fleshed out yet. And so that's kind of leaving me where it's like my answers are going to be a little bit vague and gray, because until we have solid answers on that, whether there's a moratorium or not, that's going to impact every development that needs sewer at this point. Minus like a couple houses that are already in progress. So that's kind of what we're up against right now. Having said that, yes, I want to get you closer answers too, and I'm going to work on Thursday to try to get a meeting scheduled, but I would also need to have fire department and someone from Public Works, and if I can get Chuck, who's the Public Works Director from City of Harrisburg, in on that, that's going to help me get some guidance on some of those other logistical issues. Once like if there is any other issue beside like whether it's the degraded sewer pipeline, I don't have that information. But the capacity is something I have been briefed on. So with Chuck, getting Chuck in that conversation, I think that's going to help me get a little more guidance on what would be the process of proceeding from the Public Works perspective.
So right now, typically I've been involved in, well, the city of Sandy right now has a certain of sewer units available, and I'm kind of in that mess. But it would seem very coincidental that the sewer capacity is absolutely operating at maximum today. I don't think Monroe has had, and since Red Hills, I don't think they've had very many units added to it. And so my frustration is a little bit that we weren't told this 4 years ago, because we wouldn't have been spending so much time on it. Well, we haven't been spending a lot of time, but we wouldn't have even revisited it if it was happening. So is there 50 units available? Is there 100 units available? Is there 25 units available? It seems to me like that's the answer or somebody needs to be pushing for, because I like I said, I don't see how it could just coincidentally be at capacity today. And I think probably more of a capacity is if the city doesn't have a workaround with the state on the industrial land supply, then that would, pretty much kill this for most people. So I guess they're kind of parallel urgent. There's no point in for us to worry about sewer capacity. Serge probably has an issue with that because he's got some land, some lots going on the ground. But from my perspective, I wouldn't be doing any if there's not sewer capacity, obviously. So I'm going to guess that's number one priority. But number two, which is very strongly right behind it, is if there is an industrial lands constraint that would prevent this from being mostly zone change, might not need 100%. And quite honestly, the industrial needs to be up against the highway and not back against the river. So those are the two questions that I would certainly be looking for answers to. If I could get those, I'd certainly appreciate it.
And it's like I'll kind of give background on what led to the sewer capacity issue, how I understood it, how Mark explained it to me. In the calculations of what is like capacity, with what was registered with the state, Red Hills was not in the list. So when the calculation was done, it excluded Red Hills. And so when Red Hills is added into that put it as really, I don't have the exact number, whether it was 95, 97% of capacity, but it was to the point that it could, if any large development happened beyond that, then we would be beyond capacity, is how it was explained to me. And so I'm still waiting on further guidance of what that looks like and then solutions. I will be on July 11th, I'll be having a meeting with Patrick Weingard, talking about some of the things with SB 1537 and whether there are any grants with respect to infrastructure that the city can apply for. And that's a question I don't have. That's an answer. From what I understood, when the law was passed, there was supposed to be grant money that went to helping developers with SDC fees, but also helping with infrastructure if infrastructure was the barrier to development. And that's one thing I'm hoping to get more clear answers, because I keep getting kind of not quite concrete answers that I can pass along to give any surety to people on what can and can't be done at this point. With respect to the zoning part, from my experience as a planner, because I've been a city planner in other places in Oregon as well, I don't know how it changes with the housing production, but with SB 1537, if a zoning district does not allow residential, I don't have an avenue forward with invoking that on anything that, except on lands where residential is allowed. And also the other constraint is how I've had to practice planning is when you don't have 20-year inventory, whether it's residential or commercial or housing, you have to balance all those and make sure you have that, or you're in violation, and then there's consequences at the state level. So that's another piece that I have to balance out as a planner, because I could be personally liable for that. So that's the piece that I'm trying to get that balance. But as of right now, how I understand Rule 9, that's what I'm up against with respect to that part that's zoned industrial. That unless they make an exemption at the state level on industrial land, I don't have, the state could challenge it in court.
Okay, so on the zoning issue then, what would it, so I'm going to guess an applicant or landowner would have to bring a zone change application to even start that train down the tracks, unless the city felt important, unless the city felt it was important enough to create rooftops, which could support some industrial. And so it's like a chicken and an egg, if I am hearing this right, because the city would really, I'm going to guess they don't really have a motivation to try to implement a zone change, especially a comp plan amendment and everything else on over private property if it's not being driven by a developer. Is that correct?
In part, yes, and in part, no. Even with like a zone change, whether the city initiated it or whether the landowner initiated it, and I'm putting it in a narrower context, that we're like anything zoned industrial that is potentially usable industrial land on paper. Whether the city initiated that or whether the landowner initiated that with a rezone application, the challenge is going to be as you're going through the criteria. And we, like the development code for City of Monroe, is the model zoning code that DLCD had put forward, and that's what was adopted. To do something that's in violation of one of the rules is something that the state has come down on other municipalities when it comes to that, and specifically industrial and commercial land. And so that's where, like, if either one of us did it, the state would have the right to challenge it and say that it's not. And if, let's say, me as a planner still recommended approval despite this not being the 20-year inventory, that's where the state could intervene and nullify it. So that's kind of what we're up against right now. And that's why I'm like trying to balance the scales to see what's going to be the right and appropriate action, because yes, and it's like we do want landowners to be able to develop their land, but we also, since we have the comprehensive plan and map, we've got to also adhere to that because that's the enforcement mechanism at the state level, that a municipality is complying with all provisions of Oregon land use law.
Yeah, I just pulled up the zoning map, and actually all of the Loving property and approximately half of O'Meara's property is all zoned industrial. So So anyway, I appreciate it. I'll wait to hear from you, and I won't take any more of the council's time. Thank you very much for hearing me.
And thank you for providing the questions. And yeah, and and you have my email, don't you?
If I don't, Margot does, yeah.
Okay, yeah, just send another email, and then I'm gonna try to coordinate on Thursday and try to get another meeting so we can have a much bigger discussion in person and over Teams or whatever method we need to do for a meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anybody else have questions or concerns?
Can I talk about my project too? Surge Pacific National Development. I have an application in for subdivision and application for a variance for lot size in with the city. I want to move forward on approvals regardless of the moratorium conversation, just because of how long things take. I do, and also want to talk about wetlands. It took me 3 years, $200,000 to get a delineation, to buy credits, pay for all the wetland stuff. And I do have expiration dates on those. So I really would like to, at a very minimum, to move forward on approvals on my project and at least get maybe an erosion control 1200C and a grading permit. Get the roads rocked. And if there is any capacity for any hookups, I would definitely like to have the conversation of us getting those hookups. So it's 26 lots. And if you guys have capacity for 15 of them, 10 of them, I would like to at least sit down and have conversations about getting those hookups. But that said, I do have an expiration on my fill permit with DSL in the Corps. So I would like to move forward at least on getting a grading permit, a 1200C and an erosion control this year.
Correct me if I'm wrong, since that part is kind of outside of the planning scope of subdividing, and since the property is already owned by him, there wouldn't be anything that would preclude him from doing the grading and meeting the requirements of the 1200C and the wetland mitigation permit for grading.
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm, that he should still be able to submit those permits to the county, because that would be a county permit for the grading. That part's not done by the city. So
Right.
I think you would be okay to go ahead and proceed with those, because there wouldn't be any planning and zoning review for grading and site preparation.
I was under the impression too that we already discussed the variance on the lot size. Didn't we talk about that a while ago about just adjusting the delineation of that area?
And so I do have a question.
That was part of our minutes on last year, I think.
Was there any changes? Because I have like what's on the website for the development code is the 2013 development code. Has there been any changes to the minimum lot standards for GRA since then? Because right now it says 8,000 feet.
There has been a change.
Can I step in and give you guys some history on that? So when I originally bought this property, those lots were 25 by 105. So they didn't meet your guys' standards. What we wanted to do was with Jim Menard, when he was the planner, city planner, was we wanted to take 2 lots and just do through a record of survey, we were going to take 2 lots and we're going to combine them into one. He got fired. Then you guys hired Rick. Rick came up with he would not accept that process at all. He said, you're going to have to go through either a subdivision application or you're going to have to do a partition. The issue we ran into was Menard basically said, I don't acknowledge there's any wetlands here, move forward. When Rick came on, he's like, no, wetland inventory maps show wetlands. I want a delineation. We got a delineation. Well, it was a lot worse than what we thought it was going to be. So we came up with doing a partition. We partitioned each parcels into 3. So I did create 5,500 square foot lots in there. I didn't meet your guys' standard, but my understanding is we went to council and the council changed the zoning in that area. So
I've
I've created 5,500 square foot lots. Now, my planner right now, you know, just to, you know, cross her T's and dot the I's, she submitted the variance just because she couldn't find it anywhere in there, but we fit the requirements with the variance. And that's why we submitted the application for the variance. Now, if you guys don't think we have to have the variance, let's just pull that application. But we just, you know, we just didn't want to go down the line and then you guys coming back to us and saying, well, you guys don't meet the standard, you know, we're going to have to do this or that. So the planner figured that we'll go ahead and fill out an application for a variance, and we're within that percentage of where we can create these lots. It's 6,000 square foot. It's not 8,000 in there. It's 6,000.
Yeah, and the reason I asked like what that number is, so
Yeah.
if it's 6,000, if let's say GR, the zoning district,
It doesn't, yeah, I agree about the no variance. I believe that we already shifted that whole zone into a new zone.
Oh, it's in GRB.
It's in GRB.
Okay,
Yeah.
that changes.
We
I was
changed
gonna-
that because there's so many variation of lot sizes there.
Yeah.
When you're
Yeah.
dealing with 8th and 7th, you've got, you know, really small lot sizes. And so I think we shifted that. That was recent though. That was,
Yeah.
that was
That
at
was
the end of
5,500.
2024.
Yeah,
Last
year.
It was last year, 2024.
Oh,
Steve brought this up and we agreed that, so it significantly reduced
And
the
city
the
council
lot
did vote for
size
it, I think.
requirement.
Yeah, I think it did go to city council.
And it did go to city council, as I recall.
And the reason I asked that is, if let's say the minimum lot size is 6,000, in under the passage of SB 1573, it's like the city shall allow adjustments. It'd be like a type 1, it would just be like ancillary in a staff report on the subdivision. Because all the lots are exceeding 5,400 square feet, so it would be within that 10% adjustment, which is allowed under SB 1537. So under that scope, I mean, you could still have the variance application, but it'd be like a type 1 variance under SB 1537. So that was the reason I asked it in that plane. And then it would just be whatever a type 1 variance would be for application fee. And then for the rest of it, I mean, it was submitted as multiple partitions, but I think we can treat it as one, as a subdivision, and then do a combined proceeding procedurally. And then that'll just be a much cleaner way to go about that going forward and then going through.
Michael, is there any way to go back and see what avenue we used to create those 5,500 square foot lots? Because I did 8 of them in there. So
Yeah.
So
Because
you
yeah,
know,
if they're
is there-
down to 5,500 and approved, then the SB 1537 point is moot, and it would just be proceed as a sub.
My understanding of what was Rick went in there and in that area where we had smaller lots, he changed them to 5,500.
Okay.
I mean, it would be interesting to just go back and check what we
Yeah.
did. I just did a partition, that's it. So, you know, maybe looking back at 2019 when I did them, you could check how did I accomplish that?
Yeah.
Those lot sizes were, what, 25 by 110?
Yeah, they're 25 by 105 or 110. You're right.
Yeah,
They
and so the thing was, we added them together to make that 5,500. I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what we did. So they're 50 by 110, 50 foot wide, 110 feet deep. So that's 5,500 square feet. And I got it done somehow. So I don't think we did a variance. I think Rick, do you guys remember Rick?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Any of the planning commission guy. So Rick went back. I think he went back to the planning commission and the council and said, look, these 25 by 110 lots, we just got to kind of maybe do a zone change there and allow for 5,500 square foot lots to happen. So I think that's what he did. And I got him done. So we did some type of application. I know it was a partition, but I don't recall any other variance or non-conforming use applications.
Yeah, I don't recall one either. I
So,
remember that discussion of combining them and making them with a 55, like Tim said, that was the discussion we had.
I'm just trying to see like from like what's the published zoning code online, having whatever the updated lot size would be, having that information so we can get it online, because right now in the absence of that, all I have to go on would be whatever is published as what I use to do any review. But let's say, assuming the 5,500 is fine with the rezone and all that, once I get that history in there and then confirm, so I can have that document in the file. The only lot that's under 5,500 square feet is for the stormwater treatment, and that's moot. That we could just treat as what do you call it? There's a word. It would just be an easement for that stormwater infrastructure, so it wouldn't be a residential lot, and therefore that one would not need a variance. So yeah, so I'll follow up and get the rest of the history and get that locked in there, and then with what's there, I also need to get it online, because that's going to be important for any development going forward, making sure that we have the most current minimum lot standards for the zoning districts. So thank you for bringing that up.
So going back to my grading plan conversation, my engineer still has to draw plans for cuts and fills. I need to get a geotech involved. So there is some plan review that needs to happen, in my opinion. So I mean, who does that go to for plan review? Or what you're saying is just draw it up and permit it? I mean, does it go to the county? How does it work?
Yeah, so anything that's doing the cuts and whatnot, I would, you can still submit it to me. And then I would have Public Works and our contract engineer review everything and making sure it's conformance to all of the engineering guidelines that go beyond planning.
Okay.
And then I had one other question since I have you on here. The stormwater report, that was from I believe it was like 2023. That was with the initial before it's going to subdivision. Do you see that there's any changes, or that the numbers should still be the same on everything?
The numbers should be the same. We just got our 401 through what's called DEQ.
DEQ, okay.
Yeah, for the clean water. So we're actually going to be the water's actually going to be clean before it gets discharged.
And you said that was already approved. You already got that approved.
Yeah. So I have approval through the Corps. I have approval through DSL. I've purchased my wetland, my credits for the wetlands. It was roughly about $160,000, and then I have the 401 through DEQ.
And I see that like copies of applications of that with the submittal. I didn't, and I started looking through it before I came to the meeting. But I didn't see the approvals. Do you have copies of the?
Yeah, I'll get you copies of all that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that'll shore that part up. And then, yeah, I don't, right now, I don't see any, it's like, I think there's going to be enough to call it complete, but yeah, like with some of those others for the site design review portion of the subdivision for the cutouts, I would go ahead and try to get those to me in the next week or two if you can. And then that way I could just go ahead and proceed with everything and start getting that staff report and then we can notice it, get that on the schedule for the planning commission.
So is there any way to ask for an exemption on your guys' moratorium on my project?
We don't have a formal moratorium. There was a discussion of it at our last planning meeting, but are these minutes public, by the way, from last meeting? I mean, it was a public meeting.
Yeah, it should be.
It was a public meeting, so they should be,
there-
yeah.
I mean, we could supply the meeting minutes that have a lot more detail about.
Well, and there's still a conversation that needs to be had
Yeah.
between the city attorney, the city council, and the city engineer and Public Works. So that conversation, I'm
It's
hoping
in
to
a
have
limbo
that.
state rather than. a
I
moratorium.
understand, trying to get everybody together at the same time to talk about this. I'm hoping in a couple weeks we'll be able to do that. So.
And I'm hoping to get some answers July 11th when my meeting with Patrick on infrastructure SB 1337 grants, because I think that's going to be a very important piece of the puzzle.
Between getting an engineer and the new staff coming for the administrator, it seems
Mhm.
like a resolution and a path is going to be a lot clearer than it currently is.
Hopefully very
Yeah.
soon, yes.
Does that help explain a little bit about where we're at?
Oh, just keep in mind, I have 26 lots there, 26 potential houses. And I would like to see if I can have an exemption on those. Me and Michael talked about a developer flipping the tab on upsizing the pump and possibly, upsizing the pipe to the lagoons. Unfortunately, this project would be too small. But the other project, 50 acres for the UGB one-time UGB expansion, now that's a different conversation. That not only is there grants out there, which I think you guys should be looking into, that's a big enough project where stuff like that can be absorbed with the developer. But the 26 lots, it's too small of a project. It would not be financially feasible.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, it's our understanding that one of the issues with the capacity on the wastewater is that it's mixing with our stormwater. And so that depends on
Yes.
what time of year. Certain times of year, we're double capacity, and certain times of year, we're barely at capacity. So the engineer record and the Public Works, until we get them to meet and analyze and do and look at the feasibility studies, we really
We're just.
are
we're just
waiting. We're in a
guessing.
limbo.
Yeah.
We're not in a position to make any
understood.
kind of decision until we get that information.
Exactly.
So, and let them know that there's an application for 26 lots. And if there's anything that can be done, to possibly get those 26 lots done. But I kind of understand your guys' situation. Back in the day, that's what they did. They took the roof drains and they put them into the sewer, and all of it went to the sewer treatment plant. City of Salem right now is fixing that. They're putting in brand new storm lines and brand new sewer lines to separate the two. So I get it. I get the situation.
Yeah, but we appreciate you being here and asking the questions, and hopefully Michael can get some answers for you here as soon as possible.
Okay, so Michael, once application is deemed complete, what's the next step?
Next step for me would be getting it on the schedule for planning commission. Since I'm only here one day a week, I've got to make sure I have enough time to compile the staff report. I mean, for a subdivision, I have to also get whatever comments from fire, Public Works, city engineer, incorporate it into that, because it's like, let's say there's something that needs to be altered on it from a Public Works perspective, like stormwater detention or whatever the case may be. I got to make sure that those conditions of approval get in there, and that all of that is ready for the planning commission when I present it.
Is there, sorry to interrupt, but is there a public hearing also on that subdivision
So,
design?
yeah, there would be a public
Okay.
hearing on
I
it.
know that the reason I bring it up is that there were a number of neighbors who came to a couple meetings previous
Yeah.
and with sharing a lot of thoughts about this particular issue.
Yeah, and kind of like, I had a conversation with Mark and trying to see like with what was proposed for kind of stormwater detention and trying to link that to the other pieces. So that way there's a seamless of, especially Trevin's property where water's going over the top is a legitimate
There were
concern.
some other before you.
Yeah, and
So
some
just-
other, yeah. So trying to just make sure that if we do all those things right and have everything in the right position, then that's gonna minimize any opposition to it and then solve an ongoing problem on that side of
Yeah,
town.
I think people really support it if they see the plan.
Mhm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, anybody else online have a comment or question?
Oh, I see a hand up.
Yeah, there's somebody.
I have a question and I apologize. I'm having internet issues. I don't know why. I'm like dial up over here for some reason. So I had to get on with my Wi-Fi and it has the wrong name information. So I'm Katie Kydell. I work with Metro Planning down in Springfield up in and I just have a really simple question, but for some reason we just kind of got put into this meeting. I don't know if we're in the right place. Harry is also, he's on the, I think his screen.
Yep, we can see him. Yep.
Okay.
Hello.
So we primarily work in Lane County. So City of Springfield, Lane County, City of Springfield, City of Eugene, whatever, Bonita, Florence. But we don't typically work in other counties. So we're doing a partition in the City of Monroe, Depot Street, 555 Depot, and which is industrial land, industrial zoned. And we just couldn't find application forms and fees online. That's really all we need. Yeah.
And I will find that out because that's the same question I have as well. And we're getting, as I'm coming across processes, I'm getting those applications added to the building and planning part of the city website. So, and then and have you emailed in before or anything?
Yeah, Harry and Harry's emailed, and I think we've both called and left messages. I think Harry spoke with someone.
Okay, because I've been out a few weeks because I got really, really sick. So I've been out and playing catch up. So I don't know if I've gotten to your email or whatnot, if it's been in the past. Like week and a half.
Oh, we got the Zoom link. But yeah. So there's currently right now, we have no tentative partition application form?
I don't think there's one on the website. I do have access to it, so.
There is a partition app.
The partition.
Yeah, we gotta find it, but yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, and I can't remember off the top of my head the fee because if the number I'm gonna throw would be the Philomath, then I don't think it's the same amount since I'm also planner for City of Philomath.
Right. Okay, so I called also, not Jackson County, sorry, what county are you guys?
We're Benton
County.
County.
Benton County.
So yeah, I did happen to speak with someone at Benton County. Will any of the so I guess the subsequent question is, will any of the processes, like you were mentioning, Public Works, and you guys have a contract engineer to do some of the public works and engineering and stuff, for partitions, subdivisions, whatever. Will any of it need to be done through the county? I don't know. Is here if like the transportation portion county, because it's a county road. Sorry.
Good question.
Yeah, with the partition, it shouldn't impact that. Only when you get to the building permit phase, the building permit part and the structural would be with the county. It's small enough. I don't think there's not gonna be an environmental permit that's gonna go along with that, with any development. From what I can recall. So it should be just a partition. And then what was that address again? You said on Depot? I didn't hear all of it.
555.
Oh, it's a 555
The
Depot.
Wilbur
Okay.
Ellis property there.
Oh, okay. Yep, and I believe I have that folder on my desk, so I need to look through. Some things have been done on it. I just need to get to what conditions are there. That's the piece that I need to get that to you.
I have some, and I guess code. Jed, my boss, he did say he found the code. Is that online? Is the code online and pretty accessible?
Yeah, the development code is online, and the language for partition, even with the changes like in bulk standards, shouldn't be any different.
Okay.
There hasn't been any changes to that partition process. I know the state, it's like with some legal decisions that have happened in the past few years. In time, we may have to go to how they're dealing with a simpler partition 1 to 2 lots is being treated a little bit differently. So it's like some of those they're recommending those to be type 1 versus type 2.
Right.
But as long as Monroe's development code still has type 2, legally we have to go with that process. So it's kind of this weird nebulous. So right now, until eventually it'll have to be type 1, but right now it'll still be a type 2, which just means 14-day notice before decision.
Right. Yeah. I mean, every partition I've ever done has been a type 2. So I mean, type 1 would be amazing. That would be
I think it was a Lake Oswego decision. It's like with Luba that changed, like their subdivision and their partition got bumped down and saying really subdivision should be type 2 and type 1. So it changes the scope a little bit. But then with my study of Oregon land use law, that also is like a very change in direction because they want it to be citizen neighbor focus on any impacts. And this just limits the decision making, like citizen input to, okay, there might be an issue with an easement or some sort of like agreement that might not be seen from a planning perspective. So
right.
It's shifty like sand these days with coming down from the states.
Yeah. I the middle housing, ADUs and all this. Yeah, everything. Oh, I like it. It needs to be, shook up a little bit, I think, right now. Good. Okay, so do you have how should I get contact information from you guys? Should I give you my contact information? Do you have our
Yeah, and I don't know if I've gotten it. It's like I'm about a week and a half out on email. So if I got the email in the past week and a half, I haven't gotten to it. But was your name on any of the applications for 555 Depot or?
No.
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay. So like if you call into the city, you'll probably talk to Dawn, or have you spoken with Dawn Flora?
I've left a voicemail. All I got was a voicemail.
Okay.
It was on a Tuesday. I think it was last Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah. A call back in. Dawn's usually, unless she's on the other line, will answer the phone.
Okay.
And then you can pass the contact information, and then I'll get on to me. And then next Tuesday, I can then follow up with you on that.
Okay. And first of all, okay, Dawn Flora. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And then are you Dan?
No, that's me.
Yeah, I'm Michael Bibble. I'm the new planner.
Just the only face I can see. So
yeah.
Right.
Apologize for that. Okay. Wait, so Dan's there somewhere, and then who is?
Yeah, Dan's the mayor, and was probably in that email with Dawn. I'm Michael Bidwell. I'm the planner, and here 1 day a week. So
yes,
on Tuesdays.
Yes. How do you spell your last name, Michael? B
as in birthday, I, D as in dog, W-E-L-L.
Okay, Bidwell. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Gosh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Mayor.
No, you're fine.
Awkward. Okay. Okay, so I will do that. We will reach out again this week via email and just try to work on getting some applications and just get a little more information to get the project rolling. I know they're ready to get things moving. So
sounds good.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks for waiting.
Thank you so much.
I think you might have more questions, so I appreciate you letting me interrupt there.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda, we're going to talk about, do you want to talk about it or do you want me to keep?
Oh, well, we actually had a special session with the city council and the planning commission last week. And we were going to go ahead and start talking about tap fees. And then we were also going to talk about land use fees. And so I had taken the opportunity to and I looked at 7 different cities just on their websites. I didn't have time to call folks to get a comparison on some of these land use fees. And then I think I got about 3 cities when it came to comparison on the tap fees. So if you go into the packet here, and Dawn had a little bit of trouble getting everything on one piece of paper, so you may have to flip to get, I think Vanita was the one that fell off.
It fell off.
Yep. But we also have a section of the city of Harrisburg standard fee schedule The land use fees actually start on page, I want to say 21. Yeah, 21. And then your comparisons are beyond that. And if you need to tear the packet apart, do it. It might be easier to, instead of flipping through pages. But I did slip Monroe in there. It's the first column, and you'll see if we're talking about land use fees, which I think we want to talk about tap fees first, but I'll leave that to you, Chair.
All right, now let me see if I can see what the tap fees are if we flip through here.
Tap fees, I put them, they're probably in the back.
Towards the back.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Like I said, I was only able to get, I think, 3 cities. Yep, there we
Well,
go.
thank you for doing that. That really does help.
Of course.
Hey, guys, can I, just one more thing and then I'm gonna go. While we're having the conversation about not tap fees, but application fees. When do I pay my application fee for the subdivision?
Oh, yeah, you want to pay that as soon as possible. Like if you can pay it within the next week, that'll be the other piece of being complete because that was the piece I hadn't gone through to see if you had paid the fee. I found the receipt for the pre-application fee, but I hadn't had a chance to follow up with Dawn to see if you had paid for the subdivision. Because
Okay,
you
what
just-
about the variant? Do I pay for the variance too?
No, how we'll do it as is a bulk proceeding, so it'll just be combined together. So it'd just be paying since right now it was submitted as 4 partitions. How I'm looking at it from procedurally, it would just be a 1 subdivision fee for the 26 units. So it would just be submitting the application fee for subdivision.
Can you figure out the fees given to me tomorrow and I can make arrangements? I can have Renee at the office make arrangements, get the money to you guys, possibly tomorrow or Thursday.
All right, I'm gonna make a note to myself. Actually, I don't work tomorrow at all, so it'll be Thursday for me. Because
Okay.
for Philomath, I no longer work Wednesdays because of budget cuts.
Okay, all right, so let me know what the fees are and I'll have the office take care of it. Hopefully I'm grandfathered in with the old price.
Mike, I got a quick question on that too. If we've already rezoned that area from GRB to GRA, is a variance still required or?
A variance wouldn't be required at
Right.
that point. And then let's say let's say that the zoning standard was 6,000 feet. I mean, we can still keep the variance application, but it's gonna be treated a lot differently because SB 1537 says the city shall make adjustments. And if it's 6,000 square feet, let's say it's that versus 5,500. It'll still be within that 10% variation, which SB 1537
I'm
allows for.
saying if we know we've already rezoned that.
Mhm.
If that work that we did did not get into city documents, then we have to go by the old
Yeah,
documents.
if I know what ordinance or whatnot changed it, then I can go off of that. And then we'll probably have to get Dawn to make it as a supplemental link on there. So that'll be known that this is the updated for.
There should be minutes where we.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we changed it to GRA to GRB. So, and we
added.
said to city council.
I thought I actually went to the city council meeting and saw it on that agenda. And I thought they voted.
It was-
Yeah, if it's on the city council, that I have access to those minutes,
I
the
believe that
minutes
was
and the
done.
agendas. So,
It was coupled with turning Commercial Street into commercial
yeah.
area. So those two we did
Yeah.
both those
And that was
simultaneously.
in late 2024, right?
Yeah, somewhere, yeah,
Yep.
in the last 6 months of 2024.
And yeah,
So
since
it's probably, I don't know if it ever got submitted, recorded, but that might make the variance mute.
yeah, and that's kind of what I'm thinking, like if it was made to 5,500, then that's the variances would just be ignored at that
But
point.
if you can find that action that was taken by the planning commission and city council, then you can insert that into our,
Yeah.
whatever you need to do to make it official, then all the variances
Then all
should
the-
go.
yeah.
Okay.
And so, and like, just thought about, I'm like, yeah, the city council, everything is online, so I could actually search that myself and not even get Dawn. So it's like, that gets me a little homework. Tuesday morning, I need to do that ASAP.
Do we have, that's, know the date approximately for that? We don't. I could go back and tell my mind, but I don't. If I find anything, I'll let you know. So it was
Because I'm assuming it's like something would be somewhere between like July and November or August and December.
That's the way I recall.
Yeah,
Okay.
at least it's city council, so it's like, that's all online, so I can query that myself and get the answers. And then if we need to upload anything to the website, I'll just work. with
And this is
Dawn to
what
get that
we're
done.
trying to understand. If we know we've taken actions at different times, it should be in our minutes.
Yeah.
And I used to keep all my minutes, but I don't anymore. But if we take action and the city council takes action, but it doesn't get recorded either on city documentations or in the county, then it's not legitimately recognized as, it's still not built into the codes and everything, right?
Yeah,
Right.
and with rezones, it changes to the
Oh, boy. yeah.
plan map, which then that means DLCD should also have notes. That's another area I can search, because I now have all the accesses I need to the Monroe's history with submittals to DLCD. So that's another point that I can look at, because if it's past city council, then they're going to have that information.
If it was submitted.
If it was
by
submitted,
the
correct.
administrator to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
state, okay.
And let's say it wasn't, there's still an avenue to be able to do that with
good.
DLCD. So it's just a matter, if it is recorded and they see it, then it's fine. If not, then I'll have to do a submittal to DLCD amending.
Perfect.
So if we're ready to go back to tap fees, if I could mention one more.
Okay, thank you, council members. I'm gonna be checking out.
All right, thanks, sir.
Thanks, sir.
So if you look at Harrisburg, Harrisburg is really broken out when it comes to the tap fees. So you'll see Harrisburg, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 over. Service, it's got service installation. They have a fee for that. Then they break it down by the meter, the size of the meter. So you'll see like 3/4 of an inch, an inch. And then they have other fees that coincide with that as well, that most other cities I found don't. But just to give you, Harrisburg seemed to have a lot of interesting information, especially when it came to this particular fee. And then Brownsville had something, and Junction City, and then I think Veneta as well. Again, Veneta kind of fell off onto the next page. So
So when I have a document for Pomona, because they have it in their SDC table.
okay,
So I just need to refer to that, and then I can get you that information.
yeah, I couldn't find it. So,
Yeah. It's not, it's like I had to ask her an email. It's not easily found online. I
Yeah,
find.
as I'd like.
You need a big packet?
Well, I don't have some of the stuff.
Oh.
So I'm just looking for-
So as we compare other cities to Monroe, what do we compare? I mean,
Well, I mean, we don't have one, so.
But that's kind of how it's structured.
should take the same amount of work to install the meters, whatever they're using in Harrisburg, to what we're doing here.
I think that would be fairly comparable, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
If we're estimating work and what things should cost, it's kind of, we need to get Public Works to tell us how long it would take.
Right.
And give us some sense of what we're.
Well, I think with Harrisburg, I'm wondering if this whole service installation piece, if that's Public Works time there. I'm not 100% for sure on that.
What I
So,
thought he said in
Mhm.
our meeting was that they don't trust a contractor to punch into the system.
right, so they do it
That
themselves. yeah.
that they actually do it themselves, and
Right.
that's their minimum
Yep.
fee. But that's why you're not seeing anything at other cities, because they basically just inspect, and that's what Mark says, that he gives them the contractor the green light. They basically just review that they punched into the system properly.
Right,
And so I think Harrisburg does it differently.
Because
That
they have the
might
staff to
reflect
do
why
it.
they have, because they have the staff to do it.
right,
That might be why their fee is so much higher, because they basically are saying, hey, we don't trust anybody else. But I also see, if you look at Veneta, they don't have it, if you flip it, but then they do have a drop fee of 1,000.
Yeah.
Which
Either
they're,
way.
they're not
Yeah.
very
And that's
discriminating.
Similar to Junction City,
right.
but the Junction City doesn't have an installation fee. And nobody else does other than Harrisburg. But as I recall, listening to Chuck and Mark talk, that was why that was there, is because they physically do that piece of work. So,
Well, I mean, we could do a basic tap fee and then have like a per hour for public works time kind of.
Yeah, because I think there was a question mark about,
Mhm.
we have to pay for the people to do. the
Yeah, we're gonna have to
inspection.
have somebody else do it. Yeah.
So even if we're not doing the actual work,
We
at
still
least
need to-
have to pay for these.
Yeah, we still need to charge something to cover our costs. Yeah.
yeah, so if you, let's just go with like the 3/4 meter drop.
Mhm.
Brownsville's 300, Harrisburg's 440, Junction City's 1,050, and
Veneta's
Veneta's
1,000.
1,000.
So that's a pretty
Um,
big variance
I-
there.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not in here to, gouge people, but we do want to make sure that our people are.
Well, if you,
compensated for their
if you
time.
look at Junction City, cost of meter, materials and labor plus a 5% service fee. So that's what they said. They didn't even give a number. And that was on the 1 1/2 inch installation of a meter. So that's an option too.
Does anybody have an idea of what we should?
Be a non-residential installation.
I would assume so, yes. Commercial.
Does anybody have a suggestion?
Well, the fact that we started with thinking STC charges was the way we were benefiting so well with this whole system. And now we found it to be a slap in the face and we get nothing. We need to start with something.
Mhm.
And I understand it looks pretty high here, but the city's been taking the shorts for so long now that, besides almost being broke, we need to start recouping, and especially if you're gonna have a bunch more housing come in here. Red Hills they didn't get any of this service charge. Surge with his first 8 didn't get any of these service charges.
Nope.
So
Well, I agree with you, but moving forward, we can't make up for mistakes on our new customer,
No.
for the past on our new customer, but does anybody have a suggestion of what they think is fair?
Yep.
Do we have an idea? I mean, I am looking, what we want to make sure is that we're not losing money.
Correct.
So would it not make sense then to adopt a philosophy of the cost of materials?
Materials, labor and,
Plus labor.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but so that would preclude us from having to figure out what it's gonna
Right.
be and then add a certain percentage, whether it's gonna be 5% or whatever.
Like Junction City.
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
to me, that makes the most sense, because I have no idea
Yeah, I know,
what
right?
the labor costs or what the materials cost, but if we put it in and it's labor cost plus a percentage of whatever.
And Public Works can tell you all that when you're
You
wanting to
can-
do that.
But let's say branch engineering, if they're gonna be the engineer. of
Right.
record, They should have a set fee that.
They
the
should,
city
yeah.
Could figure out and
Yep.
apply that.
Yep.
That way it's not open-ended.
Right.
I don't have a problem with your philosophy, but it would just be quick reference and easy for people to know if it was. just a flat rate.
You could put a minimum in there. You could say $500 or whatever you want to,
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
something. Or
Right,
minimum.
Minimum of,
Yeah.
and you could always have that information available to say,
Yeah.
and typically this runs X amount.
Well, if you look at these fees too, they've got a number. They've got a number for 3/4, they got another number for 1 inch.
Yep.
And I have an 1.5 inch meter at my house, okay? And so I've done some research to try and find a backflow prevention, all that kind of stuff. And that's just very uncommon, so that's no wonder that they say cost of the meter plus materials.
Right,
Because they're going,
we don't know.
we have no clue what that meter's gonna cost.
Right.
And
Right.
if we're gonna be able to find it, so that's why they've got no set number there, so
Okay.
rather than us coming up with a thing that we gotta calculate plus, 5% or something, to Dave's point, if you're online and you're figuring out what's gonna cost to do this project, we should have a set number, so it's no surprise and not,
Right,
it's something like, well, what is that 5% and what does that cost me?
Yeah,
You know?
and the 1.5 inch that's an exception. I mean, that's gonna be a commercial operation of some magnitude, right? So, I mean, really, I think, I don't have a problem with doing exactly like them, cost plus materials. But for a 3/4 inch, typical dwelling, I think I feel it should be just a flat rate. And
I agree.
however we come to that. Because that's very common materials and stuff like that, and we should be able to easily figure out how much it's gonna cost the city to have branch engineering or and engineer inspector.
Right, I mean, before we put a number on there, I'd want to have some information about what actually it
Absolutely.
is.
Yeah.
So are we
this-
trying to set fees or are we trying to come up with a process to establish fees?
Well, originally, I think we were gonna try and set fees, but I think we're finding it's a little bit more involved than just picking a
Well,
number. out
yeah,
of a
it seems
hat.
like with
Yeah.
tap fees, it's a little more,
This service installation, what does that entail?
I don't
Is-
know.
Is it the contractor digging down to the pipe?
Well, it'd probably be
Well,
connecting
this is
the-
Harrisburg, so they're doing it.
Well,
So,
Harrisburg does it.
Well, this is Harrisburg.
right.
Right,
but-
so,
I'm looking at Monroe and I know some of those water pipes and sewer pipes are 12 to 13 feet deep on Commercial Street.
yeah, so we don't want to be involved in that.
I wouldn't think so. Never have been before, but
No, we don't want our city staff doing that.
no,
So,
so what is that? What is the
Well, what is the definition of service installation?
service installation? What is it?
Is that to the property? I mean, to me, that's a meter drop, right? Or is it just tapping into the main line?
I think it's,
Well, what are the definitions?
So I think we need Public Works to tell us what these things are and give us
Just for
estimate
clarity.
of the time. I can't, I feel like I'm trying to set fees or something. I have no idea. And we also are not going to be, I know that there was a service water tap fee and there was an inspection fee. And there were, and that, so are we allow, I think we want to continue to allow developers to make the connection, but there has to be an inspection. So I know we had two different fees for that process. But I think we need Public Works to come in and explain what these are and what they estimate the time to be and what they think they're capable of.
And the meters, they, the city supplies those. The contractor doesn't go out and buy something.
Yeah, the city supplies those, yes.
we supply all the
So
meters.
that needs to be spelled out.
Yeah, getting the cost of the meter shouldn't be a big deal. They should be able to tell us the time. I don't, the materials, time and materials might be the variables there, but
Yeah, but.
we should be able to get, yeah, get a range.
Here's why there is such a variety of fees from, just say drop in typical 3/4 inch, Brownsville 300 versus Junction City 1,000. So what accounts for 3 times the amount?
Well, I think some of them are manual read, some of them are electronic.
Okay,
And some of them are, I mean, I think Junction City, they don't even have to drive around. They have
they
it's
do,
Wi-Fi and it's
right.
Yeah, that's what we have here, so.
it's much more expensive than, I'd still see our guys running down, popping lids, manually reading stuff. That would probably be your $300 Brownsville meter versus, I'm sure that Wi-Fi in Junction City is probably a pretty expensive
Mm-hmm,
meter. So.
right.
From what I remember with Philomath, and I'll get those fees to you. It's like I actually have it because it's broken down in Philomath's SDC fees for meter installation and all that. It's like I feel like from what I remember, it's more comparable to Junction City than it is to Brownsville. Yeah.
So for the meter drop-in, we just need some estimates from Public Works, and then we'll be able to have that information to provide a good suggestion. And then there's other elements on here regarding the delinquent accounts and the testing. It seems like we can probably adopt the Harrisburg model for the testing and where it just says actual cost. Makes sense.
Is there any testing done now?
On the meters? Yeah, occasionally there are.
Wait, water testing.
Water testing?
Yeah, so you drop
Oh,
a
yeah.
meter in and the water goes through the pipes in the house. and
I imagine
it.
there is some sort of testing. I know residents occasionally do ask for a test, or they will bring a sample in and they'll want us to test it. So that does happen every once in a while.
I didn't know that.
I don't think
Yeah.
that's on here. A water quality test isn't on here. It
Yeah.
says testing water meter.
Yeah. And then-
Delinquent accounts, I think it's just a matter of,
Do we have a late fee, don't we, on delinquent accounts already?
Yeah, for the water, yeah, for the utility, yeah.
So we just don't have it
Don't
listed
have
on
it
here.
Yeah,
So we do have one then.
we do. I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Do we have a turn on fee too then?
We do.
We already have those two.
We have a shut off fee. We've got a, turn it back on fee. So, yes, we have all those.
okay.
We
So
should
then we
come up
just,
with a water test fee to, or,
The water meter testing one. Oh, you come up with an. we have to
yeah,
do
if they
that.
dispute is that where if you got a customer disputing the reading and then,
Those do happen occasionally. We don't normally charge for that because Mark or Chuck will go back out and just run it again. I mean, there could be.
okay.
But we should just do that, the
Water
Harrisburg.
out of somebody's house.
Yeah, if they dispute the volume.
Oh, I mean, testing the meter.
Yeah, testing the meter.
Okay, I thought you meant the
We
water.
probably should not,
Follow the Harrisburg model, don't you agree? Where it says actual costs for those meter, for those last three.
I think we need to be
rows.
careful too, because if a customer truly has a concern and it's not a monthly concern that, hey,
Mhm. Could be a one-time thing. Yeah.
and then maybe we should waive it as a one-time thing, but if we're, you know,
That's
if they have,
staff cost.
yeah.
So
I think
whatever,
we
whatever
also,
their staff
it's
cost
more of
is.
it should be more of an audit on our part if there is a dispute. I mean, if they're disputing it frequently, then that might be.
That's another matter. I mean, if it's a one-time
But a
thing.
One-time,
Yeah.
hey, I've had a real anomaly. We were gone on vacation and how in the world did this happen?
Yeah, they could have a leak. So, yeah.
Yeah, and they could have a leak or something, so.
Yeah.
So what did we just find out about tap fees?
So is it possible,
We need,
maybe a subgroup of us sit with Public Works and kind of go over, figure out what they do and generate fees based, well, first find out what fees we have and what fees we don't. And then bring those forward to the planning commission to review.
I can just ask Mark to pull that together. He's on vacation, so we'll see him in about a week.
I mean, I'm ready to decide on public dance fees right now.
Me too.
Oh, yes, we talked about this last time.
Water and sewer.
You won't be catching me dancing publicly.
Public
Trust me.
dance.
Like a mouse.
John,
Whoa.
I love your idea.
Mouse in the house.
So I will go ahead and follow up with Mark with Public Works.
We need
So you
to
get the cost on meters for each one of the diameter of pipe there.
Aaron's trying to avoid scheduling another meeting.
Yes, well, there is
I
that.
think we need.
Well, we need Mark and he's not here, so.
Honestly, to simplify it, this commission just needs to receive a recommendation and then we'll review it. So we're not, that's
completely fine.
basically what we need to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we could take that approach for all.
I will
of
get the
these, but
information that you,
Yeah.
Yeah, the
that
water
you
and
need.
sewer fees are probably, like you mentioned, priorities.
Yeah, so if we went clear back to the beginning, we could just quickly flip through the beginning of the packet, the land use fees and just move forward from there, since we really realize.
Monroe, you'll note Monroe doesn't have too many, so.
Wow.
Right. So if you go down here,
The ones that are kind of a darker color gray, that was my attempt at highlighting, but this was printed in black and white, not color. Those are the ones that I am recommending that the city consider having fees for. So like,
so give me a situation on annexation application.
well, we're gonna have one, aren't we? UGB.
Aren't we initiating that?
I guess we're gonna find out.
Initiated, why are we charging a fee?
We
for it?
don't charge if somebody asked us to. And
If, it would be one thing if somebody,
Mhm.
landowner came to us and said, hey, I want,
There's still paperwork involved.
But there always is.
And I'll know more about how that process is gonna work once I have my meeting with Patrick on July 11th.
so
And I think just about every city that I looked at had an annexation app, yeah. Interesting.
Good.
holy cow,
Yeah, Coburg, wow,
wow.
okay.
They're proud of their feet.
They haven't grown.
Well, and sometimes you have to look at these fees and go, maybe they don't want to do that.
Yeah. That's one way to prevent an annexation.
Yes.
It's like make the fee so high. It's like, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So do we want to make a recommendation on a annexation fee then?
Maybe ask how these people come up with these numbers. There's gotta be a reason. $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $10,500.
Coburg, I think, as we previously mentioned, I don't think they want to do that. So
it's
hence
part of the strategy of
yes,
trying to.
Keeping it small.
yes, exactly.
that's fine, but everybody else has a fee
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yep.
And like for city of Philomath, and one of them's 3,200, one's 15, I want to say 3,200 for the
Yeah, that's what
annexation.
it is.
Yep. That's what it is.
There.
Yep.
And so part of that is because our engineer has to review it, and then a fee that we pay, an agreement with the fire department to review public works. Sometimes a fee to Benton County for their review on that, if there's any county infrastructure, or it's a large enough in size that the county is gonna have
Lawyer.
some.
Lawyer too.
And a lawyer too, yeah.
So. you
Yeah,
can
it
see
goes
why-
very quickly.
You can see why there's 1,000 at least.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Easily.
And now on everything in Philomath with anything that's quasi legislative or quasi judicial, it's like now the city attorney has to be involved in all of them. So, yeah, that's becoming the norm now, which is essentially just preventing lawsuit in the future.
We have a suggestion?
$2,000.
I was just gonna say $2,000.
It just seems so random though.
Yeah,
With smart
I
people.
don't know how we can do that
Yeah.
without having some idea of what we're talking about.
Well, now that you know what is involved.
Well, we probably should figure out what our.
I have no.
But we
I
don't
have
have
no
any
idea.
more
I can't.
details on that. We
Do
have a rough
do you have
idea
any
of what that is.
methodology? You have no clue what their methodology was, come up with their 3,200 at Philomath.
I know it's based on the fees of all the review groups and attorney, but I don't have like what the breakdown is, but I can ask Chris and see if there's a more specific.
What's your
breakdown.
attorney fee cost every hour? 600?
No, not that much.
Oh, good.
I want to say it's probably $200 an hour, something like that.
Engineer?
Engineer, I don't know, I have to look. We do have a contract in works right now we're close. And there is a fee schedule on that. I'd have to look at it, but yeah, I think the attorney's right in that same neighborhood of $200 an hour.
So I'd just like to present a suggestion. So all of these represent some sort of labor activity by
Right.
staff that we have, or in your case that you're just describing, additional labor that we have to hire.
Yep.
And so whoever organizes or coordinates each one of these activities can come up with an aggregate estimate of how much that will be. And then we can then decide if that is an appropriate fee or if we should add some sort of contingency on top of it. But this body has zero information about that, so there's no point in us goofing around trying to come up with something.
100% my sentiment.
We're discussing the fact that there is a big variance and that somebody needs to come up with that. And so this body can say, we would like to see a list of estimates or at least some recommendations of what we think this fee schedule should be so that we can validate it. So that's what we're doing.
So I think what you need to do is come up, how much per hour, let's say everything's per hour, and you have your fire chief, and you have your engineer, and you have, and
That's what we just said.
yeah,
Yes.
so what are those dollar
Like,
amounts? And then
we-
factor it in.
We're in radical agreement. That's exactly what we just said. So
One thing that John said made sense.
Yeah.
If one or two people the commission wanted to spend the time to go and.
But we're not, but we don't
Then
do
we
the
can
work.
bring it back to the group.
But I think like the city staff needs to be involved.
Right,
in
we
it.
don't
Yeah,
have
that's what
an
I'm talking
idea.
about.
They can
Go to the
develop.
city staff and get these answers. What are the.
Well, in some cases, just as an FYI, they've never done it, so they have no idea.
Well, they'll know how much.
Well, that's,
know-
then we can't provide that service. If we've never done it and we don't know how to do it.
Well,
then
I'm
we
not
can't
saying
estimate.
that. I'm just saying that they just haven't done it
We don't have
before.
an idea of what the
Yeah.
labor intense is gonna be.
Okay, well,
Suggestion of somebody here, is somebody just to coordinate the effort and.
that's your
but the-
suggestion. Okay,
but,
that,
Yeah.
that we have
but
a
the-
volunteer.
Well, I would love it if it wasn't me, so
Yeah,
just
yeah.
throwing it out there.
And so the question
It's Dan.
Anybody official, is this something that the group could prioritize for the new city administrator? I mean, there's gonna be so
So
much hitting that.
the new city administrator, he's gonna be like.
But maybe
If we could have
is it a value to wait till he gets here and then have him make a suggestion of how to proceed?
Well, and
then we willing to step in and assist.
I'm thinking
Is very important.
it is important. I'm just thinking maybe we should have a small group of 2 or 3 people that coordinate and can come back to this body, come back to the city administrator
I'm concerned that he's gonna be overwhelmed
Right.
very quickly.
Do we have any volunteers?
I don't want to chase him off.
Do we have any volunteers to head up that effort to help coordinate fees? And are we
Finding.
doing all fees or water fees and sewer fees?
How often are these revisited, these fees?
Ever?
Harrisburg does every year. They look at them. But it's like a broader thing that they look at. They look at all their fees,
Uh-huh.
not just tap fees and land use fees. They look at all their fees because labor costs change, materials,
Exactly.
that all changes. So, yeah, they look at it every year.
Yeah, and City of Philomath updates are yearly too, even though the applications it hasn't been, but the other like SDC fees and
Right.
water sewer is updated yearly.
We got anybody? I can volunteer. Next few weeks are a little bit difficult, but I can volunteer to coordinate that effort with city staff. I'd like to be able to sit down briefly with the new city administrator to get some
course.
guidance on how that work, how he'd recommend proceeding.
And I can visit with you if you want.
Great.
And then
All right.
after July 4th, Chris will be back so I can get the breakdown of how City of Philomath came up with those fees, because seeing maybe that methodology might help in that conversation to see.
I love it.
So John will head it up. I'll assist him. Who else wants to help out?
Fred said he would help out.
Huh?
You,
Oh,
Fred?
I'm gonna help you out. Okay, but do we want to have a third just in case?
I'll throw my hat in the ring
Okay.
if I'm around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm just thinking the reason why I bring it up is like for the city administrator interviews, we had several city councilors involved in that process. And it just, more, maybe it's a few more fingers in the pot, but then everybody's got a stake in
More
it and
energy. Yeah.
there,
more
and
energy.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, just a
Yep,
suggestion.
I like it.
All right, well, we're gonna table that for now. And we're gonna go. Probably, we already went through all the planning updates, really.
Old business.
Well, I can kind of do a little, I can do a little bit more.
Do a quick little review?
Got a
Because I
spreadsheet.
saw the spreadsheet about
Yeah.
planning projects, so I can bridge some gaps in.
I put that spreadsheet together. By no means is it complete. It can be updated, though.
This is a great first step.
Few little things to update. And the part I don't know, so on the first one for Steve Rose, the part I need to, I'm gonna have to ask Public Works about requiring sidewalk, curb and gutter, because I don't remember it being explicitly laid out in the conditions, but what's holding things up right now is that I need a submitted final plat of the partition, making sure it conforms that all the conditions of approval are met and the SDC fees are paid before it proceeds. My concern is I think it was a house or two being, or is it Oaks or his, where a house is already being kind of foundation already being laid out, so it's as if building permits have already been submitted. So that I have a little concern, but I know that the other.
He's poured his stem wall.
Poured his stem wall,
Yeah,
so-
so and I don't know what 4 single-family dwellings refers to.
Yeah, it's just, that's like the amount of houses that are gonna be, so it's for the partition and the 4 lots, so it's gonna be 4 houses. Total.
That wasn't the way that I remembered that partition. The way that I remembered that was, it was two lots. And so he partitioned it into 2. He's building his house and then he's gonna sell the one next to him.
Yeah, so there's two, so there were 2 single lots and then the partition, each one into 2.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's how, like, in the folder, the staff report, that was how everything was laid out.
The
The
way I remember
conditions
it.
are a little
Need to do some road
nebulous.
improvements then.
Yeah, it's, I think that's where that question is, like on the sidewalk curb, but I don't have anything to trigger it. It's like, if it was up to 5, then I'd have a little more say, but with
Just
it
real
being 2
puzzled by
separate.
that. I thought it was just 2.
It was my understanding, it was just 2.
There's gonna be a house and then another house.
Because of the size of the lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was only we gave him a no, he did, was it a lot line adjustments or was it a variant? I think it might have been a lot line adjustment. No, I don't remember exactly. It's 2
Subdivided.
lots because one was
Subdivided it.
smaller or something.
Okay.
Yeah, because the drawings, every drawing in the prelim had essentially a total of 4 lots, 2 of them facing one way and then 2 facing this way, are both owned by him. So that's, and everything in the folder points that I like the way the conditions of approval were written. I had to like sift through to really get, okay, what's trying to say, because it was just kind of a little
But
bit
what he's
nebulous.
poured
and-
poured looks like a really big building.
Yeah.
Well, keep
There's gonna be a
this,
shop also.
Right.
For sure, there's gonna be a shop there, so.
But keep this in mind, and when Chuck Schultz met with us
Mhm.
with the new rules,
Mhm.
he's not gonna approve anything over 3 homes because he has to personally guarantee that the water and the wastewater is sufficient for, he has to sign personally liable that if, and so that's where anything under 3 flies under the radar. Anything above 3, he has to sign that document, and he will not sign that document.
And I know on the water, it's gonna be fine because it's like the pipe was the wrong size, or am I getting that confused with Oaks? I think that's the Rose property, that the pipe was the wrong size, so the city's having to update the pipe.
Well,
has
and I
that
think
one.
with Mr. Rose, there's been some question about the SDCs.
Yeah.
And
And
Don
there's
has been trying to get proof and he's not provided
Yeah.
that yet.
It's
so.
like, it's like at most, what I can verify is that maybe he paid half.
Yeah.
That's
But-
what Mark was only standing to do. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But our, from the moratorium discussion, we've got a 6-inch wastewater pipe going underneath the long tom.
Yeah.
That could only handle 600 gallons per minute. And in the wintertime, we've got 12 to 1,800 gallons. And so we cannot authorize anything because the second he steps into a subdivision, he has to sign it. So.
Is it
stuck.
possible to prioritize that Steve Rose's plans
Mhm.
be somehow reviewed?
Well, I think it's him and Mr. Oaks and
Yeah, it's
those
like,
are,
because none of them have submitted final plats, so it's not a final partition, so it's kind of weird to me that there's like house being built on there, because
Yes.
usually your partition's final, then you're submitting the building permits.
It's kind of like this is my impression, and I'm not saying that this is actually happening, but based on our conversation, it seems like he's operating or taking advantage of confusion and this gray area with respect to the city to just rush through whatever he's gonna do and hope that it's gonna
he'll
be
ask for
fine.
forgiveness later.
And that's it's problematic because it makes it seem as if we have no relationship to his project.
So where I'm think the solution's gonna be, so like with respect to how we collect SDC fees at the building permit phase, and I need to work something out with Lance to make sure that the planner does a review before they approve any building permit, that the SDC fees are paid and that there isn't any other outstanding conditions of approval to be done. Because right now, those two are kind of separated out enough that at the building permit phase, there isn't that prompt on the Benton County side to say, hey, it's like Monroe, it's like, is there anything, does this meet setbacks and all that? I don't think that's even being checked. And the only reason I say that, there's 2 other houses that 856 and 860 Orchard, I got a question on, and those houses I can guarantee are not built, like both of them are about 3.5, 4 foot setback from the lot line, and there's an easement running down the middle between the two where the houses are actually in an access easement.
Where's this?
856 and 860 Orchard, and this would have happened in 1992. So it's like, but some of those same mechanisms between county and municipality. And it's like, and
It's a failure.
yeah, there's a communication failure. So, so what needs to happen is that I need to have a meeting with Lance to make sure that I'm on the radar and in with their e-permitting for City of Monroe. So I can then go in and do my sign off, because that's going to be the double check. That's going to make sure that we don't have the houses being built before a final, like the final plat partition is approved and recorded with the county. I think that's where there's that gap, and where that loophole is what's allowing things to kind of people to start building before everything's finalized. And there could potentially be issues with that. And I'm shocked that it went that far for the fact that we still don't have a guarantee of water and wastewater capacity as
So
well.
what kind of teeth does the city have to do anything about this?
Well, the only teeth that I have is I don't approve the partition, but if the county has already approved the building permit, that's where it's like, now there's not really any teeth, except for I can send a note to the county to not allow the certificate of occupancy, because
That's what I
if
was
they don't
Yeah,
finalize
that's
the
the only other
certificate of
thing. Yeah.
occupancy, then no one can live there
There should
and
be
then. they're
some
gonna-
way to bring this guy to the table before he spends
Yeah.
way more money. than-
Yeah, and there's gonna be, I'm working on a meeting because Dawn put something on my radar with him and another person. I need to have them both in the room for a meeting. It's partially for the SDC fees, but there's another issue with some of the infrastructure. So I've got to bring them in a meeting. I'm hoping by the time that happens, Mark will be back because I'd want Mark in that meeting one more time, just
And so just for clarification, how many houses he?
to my knowledge, there's gonna be 4.
It's just,
I
That's-
would really firmly believe that was going to be 1.
Yeah.
There were going to be 2,
Mhm.
then it was 1, then he's going to sell the other one.
That's
Yeah,
right.
he might still sell the lots, but perceivably with 4 lots could build 4
But there
houses.
should be, I mean, there ought to be minutes of
Yes,
what
there
was
has to be.
approved.
Yeah.
It has to
And if everyone has the same recollection that it was 2 and not 4,
I'd just like to point out that this is another example of John Greedanis failing to keep track of all of our minutes.
Where's your notes?
Okay, and I would like to formally slap his hand and say he needs to do a better job.
Yeah, I've
and
been-
I agree with David that sooner rather than later before, because then it becomes
It's
an
a
issue
really,
of,
really big problem.
Yeah.
right.
For everybody.
And it's like, and I've had to kind of piece together because since the initial approval was a little farther back, I think that one was in late 2023, early 2024, and the SDC fee has been
Well, to
kind of
get a
sticky.
building permit approved by the county, doesn't he have to show some kind of,
Approval of a
Check
plan
mark
that
with the
he,
city.
Yeah, and in theory, they should be checking on whether the final plat's been approved. It's like, and I
right,
don't,
that,
and
to
I
me,
don't
that's
know.
where we should.
Well, I think there's always been a disconnect between the city and the county
Yeah,
when it comes to the.
There
bills.
has, and I've had to do the same thing with better
Yeah.
coordination from the Paloma side. So it's just no matter, I just need to like get Lance's ear and
You know
meet
that
for like
list of
30
things to
minutes.
check, Michael, you can just add that one more thing.
One more thing on
That's a 30
I mean,
minute
meeting
that's-
with
but that's
Lance.
critical.
but we're, I think, that-
Must sign off on building permits.
yeah.
It's
And-
like, don't they
and-
have a checklist or something with
I
the
swear we
county?
Talked about that. I
know.
sure I remember approving that we had this whole thing. where
Been
we
beating that one to death.
And the other
It's like remonstrances.
There's another fun
Friggin'
piece. I have to be able to do since building permits are all online now per state law.
Bingo
I'm
card.
gonna have to have the
I know,
county
right?
give me access as a reviewer,
Right.
as city of Monroe, to
Right.
be able to review those building
Sure.
permits. Because, and it's gonna be fun because I already have a Philomath one for e-permitting, so this will be this unusual circumstance. Will I break e-permitting, having access to 2 different
Two.
municipalities?
Can I bring us back to this particular property? So
Yeah.
there was a question here regarding sidewalk, curb and gutter
Mhm.
placement. So are you gonna reach out to them or who's gonna reach out? to
Yeah,
this
it's like,
person?
and I'm gonna bring
To-
that up
to
in the
the owner.
meeting. Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up
Mhm.
in the meeting, but I need to also talk to Mark about that because I think the gutter part, the curb and gutter, I think is part of some of the infrastructure is being put in, but don't quote me on that. That's kind of what my rough understanding was, but the sidewalk part, that's the part I don't know.
At
And I
very
would think
least,
that
it
we would
makes
want that.
sense to me that it would just follow the sidewalk that's already on the adjacent property on Main Street.
Yeah.
Right.
So then, yeah,
Continue that up.
Let's recollect that meeting, rather, since we don't have the minutes,
Okay.
but it was a split, there were 2 partitions. He was gonna build on one, and we were requiring curb and sidewalk and gutter
On
on
the
the
other.
one he's building. With the understanding that when he built the second one, he would continue that on, but he didn't have to do it yet now.
Yeah.
So that was what we.
So what
Yeah,
has
and that's kind
happened?
of, that's, and that is how I'm understanding. That wasn't gonna be all 4 right
Right.
now kind of thing. So, but then.
It was never
when-
gonna be 4.
Yeah.
Never,
It was never gonna be 4. It was 1 now and a possibility of a second.
And you know what might be causing this confusion is that I think that there might have been an earlier plan that had the 4th thing.
Well, and that might
I
be.
remember seeing that, that's an older idea.
was.
But that was never approved.
No, all that's been approved is just it to be divided into 2 properties, and he's not building on the one next to Main. So he's building right now on the one next to, again, Trevin's place, so.
The back and that.
Yeah. And so and his house is all laid out and they've done 2 pours already and the house is growing there, so.
Yeah, that's what has me the most concerned, like why, why.
But it
the
looked like
county-
they got all the utilities and everything.
Yeah.
They've got the meter main and everything in there, so it
So
looks
It
right.
sounds like the decision's made. It sounds like you may be looking at an older.
That's very
permit.
possible.
Yeah, and that the
Yeah.
work that we did was the city administrator never filed the new decisions with somewhere where people could find it.
So I will do a little more digging and see, because I had to go off of what was in the folder and make the best.
And that's
of
what
the
I
folder.
did. That's what I did as
Old,
well.
old
So-
plant, so.
And we have not seen anything yet about the park, the other piece of property, have we? The
No.
parking lot. Nothing's come forward.
No, but that would be the place where the city or the street improvements or the relationship to the
But we
street
haven't seen
improvements.
anything yet.
No. No, we
So
didn't see
hopefully
it.
there's no
It's
action.
over on Kelly, or is this somewhere else?
No,
Right across from the Long Timber.
Yeah, Kelly. Okay.
okay.
Oh, Kelly, that's the Bounds property is for the
That's a
townhomes?
different property.
It's a different property. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt. So I guess we can move on to the next one.
Okay, I will have a meeting with Patrick on July 11th to discuss the one-time expansion under SB 1537, how I need to submit the notice to DLCD, and then that'll precipitate everything else to be able to do that. So but sometime after July 11th, I will have answers to how we proceed. And I know there's Serge had asked about that earlier and was a little antsy. I'm like, well, I can't advise until I have all the
Right,
information I need for
right.
submittal. Because this is a new process for me. This is a new law, and that's like the submittal is different than your typical annexation. So it's like I've got procedure to make sure it's right, or otherwise I'm gonna cause more work for the city, and I don't want to do that either.
But it sounds like Patrick, despite being very eager and willing to help, is kind of a bottleneck in this.
No,
process.
I've been the
You're
bottleneck
the
because I
bottleneck.
got
Okay.
sick,
All right.
so I've
Well,
missed.
shame on you.
I know,
All
right?
right.
And to be
Okay.
sick
Don't get
for
sick again.
almost 4 weeks.
Patrick is ready to pull the trigger on this
Yeah.
and go.
Patrick's
So, yeah.
waiting on me at this point.
And I know
so-
these folks in the audience are too. So.
Okay.
Oh. Fred. Go ahead.
Michael, well, first of all, I'm glad to hear you're feeling better. We really appreciate your brain and your knowledge and all that. Do you know if Serge has provided a general outline? Because I know that that's going to be part of the process in getting this expedited.
He hasn't yet, or at least I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
But it's like, for me, like, once I get the information of the procedure of how, like, because I'm thinking it's gonna have to be city initiated. We can still work with Serge on getting what the outline's gonna be and the meets and bounds of it. But procedural, I need to know how we have to submit it, so that way.
Have
when
the
it conforms.
application.
Yeah,
It sounds like he's really, I talked to him last week and it sounds like he's really eager to help out with that.
yeah.
But he mentioned something about, he had asked if we knew anything about the Benton County's requirements like as far as roads go, and I don't know if Serge has met with Benton County on a
Yeah.
pre-planning basis.
And that'll be like a pre-application meeting that's gonna have to happen, because I'll have to get Gordon, and Gordon will be the main one that I'll have to get from Benton County. And probably will also have to get Lance Richardson, the building official, in that, because that's like, I know that there have been concerns from a previous building official on soil and making sure that there's a right.
Right. Okay. I just don't
They were
recognize
adamant
that
about it.
name.
And I think I'm wrong here, but I think that their thoughts were that there has to be a road coming in from
What's
Pleasant Street.
what's
like
the word
what
that
goes
you use
south.
for the
south.
monstrance?
And then also one.
It needs to
coming
be-
up
Land use
the
agreement.
road
What?
that goes-
Development agreement.
Development. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We need to
So we gotta
make
figure
sure
out-
that
I think that's.
every
what
bit
the-
of paper.
What their restrictions are, but it
development.
would be great if he had that information
Yeah.
before he starts
Tattoo.
doing his plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm finding out more. So I think I think the game plan is gonna be, once I get procedurally what I need to do to submit for Patrick, then I need to have Serge give me just a general what the meets and bounds are and boundaries. So then I have enough for the pre-application meeting for annexation, and then can get the right people in there to make sure that everything from the county side is fine, because we'll gotta make sure they're on board with that, with respect to who's gonna maintain the roads and things like that.
Well, and I think another thing is Patrick has grant money access to a lot of this for this UDB. Because there's money, a lot of money out there.
Yeah, that's why I want
We
to make.
just need to ask for it.
Yeah, and like, that was the other piece of the question, like, okay, what, like with this, what application do I need to submit for the grant? And Because usually that's done like that, like city administrator levels, like for submitting those grants and not usually the planner. But I think in this case, that's why I'm gonna get the guides because without a city administrator, it's probably gonna be me as a zoning official that's gonna have to submit that. Yeah.
Will the city administrator be board by the 11th?
No, 14th, this is first day.
And probably a little bit overwhelming. It's like I might have to explain to the city administrator the
Yeah,
process
but
going
it's
forward.
really encouraging
Yeah.
that the city's costs can be covered
Yeah.
with a lot of these grant funds.
Yeah.
And some of the grant funds are also for the developer, but there are to help the cities
Yeah.
with these processes.
Because the other thing I'm gonna ask him about is like, because what caused the capacity issue for wastewater in general after the recalculation is that there was supposed to be a pedestrian bridge that was gonna go across and then for trails around the lagoons, but the grant application was never submitted. And yeah, and so I've got to see if, is there a way with SB 1537 that we can include that or as a secondary piece, because if that's the biggest barrier to housing production, then we really need to focus on that piece because that could stop everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
Need to do that.
So that's kind of
It's
the,
for infrastructure and, say,
Yeah.
I mean, he said there was money in several buckets.
okay, that's good to know. I'm hoping he just lays out, it's like, tell me what to do and why, and then I'm gonna get it done and.
I think he will.
And then hopefully my, Chris, city wonderful, I was gonna work a fifth day so I can have a little extra time to get the applications in, so then get things caught up
Well,
here.
and again, it sounds like the state will reimburse you for some of those via the grant.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, so it's just a matter of getting the time and getting, or like making sure that I've got my time like that, so everything can go seamlessly. I'm doing the proper submittal,
During
so
the
that
CGP
way. if there's
process,
something-
maybe I missed a
Because
couple meetings
DLCD
earlier
gets
this
weird,
morning.
a little,
But
like, things we
wasn't
done
there
out before,
a
and I've
land
done that
swap
once.
or something
And it's
like
just like,
that?
nope, you have to resubmit. I'm like,
This new law.
It's like, we're gonna oppose it to-
Allows for
Yeah.
one-time opportunity.
He's
for
been pretty
small
good.
cities
It's
without
one of
land
the others.
swap.
is DLCD,
I was just
so
sitting here thinking,
it's
how does it do
things,
that?
But that's more of like, changes probably amendment. So,
Does not include the roadways.
You're welcome.
So we have a couple conversations going on. Sorry, I know the recording will be fun later on.
Okay, so Oaks property, I am, let's see, I need to confirm the SDC fees are paid on that one. I don't see anything in the folder.
How many permits are out right now?
Let's see, the ones that are submitted that, so the Surge 2, they have their applications, and so that permits and process the.
They haven't got an official permit yet.
Well, they've submitted the subdivision out. Yeah, no building permits. I mean, we're still at the zoning permit side, but he submitted 4 partitions and a variance, but really it needs to be a subdivision. And with the conversation, it looks like the variance is going to be moot. I just need to confirm that. So that one's going to be where I'm finishing the completeness review and hoping to get him notice of whether I need anything else or it's ready. So to get that scheduled for planning commission and all the notice.
So even Steve Rose doesn't even have a permit to build yet.
Yeah, Steve Rose, it's like, it was just, he had the partition approved with conditions. Not all the conditions are met yet. So really, there shouldn't, if the practice was done correctly, the building permit should never have been issued from the county. But if the county's not communicating with us, then, and that's where it's like, he probably just showed that he got the partition approved with conditions and they just stopped at that, which, and that's been, there's been some communications where it's getting better with the county, but I need to lay out and get it up on the same page for process. So that way in this particular case, I need access to e-permitting for Benton County side as a reviewer to be able to actually say yes or no on those things. And that hasn't happened yet. So that's the where the loophole is at right now that I'm hoping will be remedied by the end of this month. Because yeah, it's like, we don't want to have that as continuing because it'll cause problems. But for Oaks, I confirming that all the SDC fees are paid. I'm not certain on that. But there's some changes that they submitted a proposed final plat. There was some things that were incorrect on it, so I'm waiting on a resubmittal because it didn't meet the conditions of approval.
So
And
the
there's some
county
notes
can
that-
go ahead and give permits for all these things as long as they've paid their SDCs.
Yeah, and it's like in the end, what I want to happen, and it's like is where once everything looks good to go on the building permit side, that's the time that they need to pay the SDC fees. And so where I or planner, if it ends up being someone after me, can hold that up is say that, well, we'll approve pending they pay the SDC fees, and that'll be the trigger, and they can get it to us. Alternatively, you can have, it would be a county city agreement on them reimbursing us for SDC fees. But I would recommend that we can still have them pay us directly the SDC fees at the point that their building permit is ready for approval.
So the city needs to set a moratorium on building. And what's that gonna do for the city if they keep handing out permits?
Yeah, that's a very valid question.
That's a great
Well,
question.
Yeah.
we haven't decided there's a moratorium, and we haven't notified the county yet, so until that's done, it's a moot point.
Yeah, and I'll have to, once I do, I'll have to contact Lance and Gordon ASAP on that.
Then it's a
Pretty
conversation.
much set the record straight, didn't he? There's a 6-inch pipe that goes under the river
Mhm.
that is capacity filled.
And there's also
And
the water-
beyond?
the water treatment plant that we haven't even talked about, you know.
Well,
We talked about sorry,
It's the engineer of record is the key issue.
that's
And we
correct.
don't have the engineer of record. And so as soon as we get that done, then he can review everything, and then
That's correct.
it's in his court.
But these guys
Right now,
get
Chuck
permits
is
to
saying-
build.
Right now, Chuck is saying, I will not sign off on anything over 3 homes at a time. Because he has to sign something guaranteeing that he guarantees the water and the wastewater. He's refusing to do that because of liability. So the engineer of record needs to review, because there have already been feasibility studies done. The engineer of record needs to come in and go, okay, here's the design to remedy both these issues. And here are your potential funding
Well, and
avenues.
here's a great legal conundrum. So if I'm a homeowner and I've gotten a building permit that's okay to build, and then after and I start my construction, and then after the fact, you tell me, no, now I'm gonna hold
Right,
responsible. I mean, I just see legal,
right.
Well, if it's
That's
more
why
than,
the
if it's more than 3.
subdivisions are where,
applies to the subdivision.
you know, they haven't been approved yet. They haven't even been met on yet.
right?
So, but
One-off
these
infill things is.
But look
oaks,
at
these other
roads.
small ones are,
So there's only one person with a building permit right now. None of these other people have building permits
Yeah,
and
it's
will not,
Rose.
it's Rose.
Rose.
He's the only person that happened. And the other people do not have building permits and won't be able to get building permits. And he may be following.
We don't know that because we had no control over the building permit right now.
Yeah,
It's
we
the
have-
county.
Well, the work required has not been done by the city side yet on the rest of
Okay.
these. So we think the work might have been done for Steve Rose, but we don't know if we.
Well,
we
yeah, but I
collected
would
any
have
of it.
thought that the county would have checked with the city before
Mhm.
Rose as well. So that's not a guarantee.
You probably got a signed statement from the city administrator
Probably
saying
from
that all the
Steve.
work was done.
yeah,
Mm.
'cause you
Probably
remember
what he
all this stuff started with Steve, and I'm sure Steve
Right,
probably
Yes.
gave Rose the blessing.
right.
Oaks hadn't finished his yet.
And we know Michael will not send a letter to the county saying it's okay. So
Yeah.
for now.
We
Yeah.
trust.
Well,
Yeah, it's like, and I have a good working relationship now with Lance. It was a rough start with Flomuth at first when he became interim building official, but it looks like it's gonna be permanent.
And
building
changing
official.
how, when we collect the SDC fees will solve
Will
that
help.
problem. So we have a solution.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
just
yeah.
have to
So
make sure that
it's
gets
just making sure I
moved.
get access to e-permitting, which I have to do for the county as representative for Monroe.
On the
And then, oh,
I'm sorry, on the Chemex and Nanu property, that was the people that were gonna build for the in-laws.
mhm.
Yeah.
Red Hills
So-
and
Oh, the little single wide.
So this may actually no longer be, what was stopping it is that, Chuck Scholes, there was a private easement that was running on the
Mhm.
backside where the water and sewer go through. Chuck would not sign off because you can't have water sewer going through a private easement. The easement was a leftover, from a previous plat that just never got removed. And so I need to confirm that the removal was recorded because it would have been done by separate
Got it.
instrument.
Okay.
I think it was. So if that is the case, I'll be able to contact them saying we can proceed with.
I mean, that's been like a year and a half easily.
Yeah. And they haven't really contacted, which is kind of weird. And I've been
Oh, yeah, I mean,
waiting.
because it was for in-laws, it was
Yeah.
for parents. And I
Yeah.
thought, they're not getting any younger.
Yeah. So it's like that one's pretty close. Once I have that confirmed, I can then say, okay, we can now proceed again. Because I think the
there's more.
easement was
There's more
removed.
water, sewage.
Let's see. So I have to follow up on 555 Depot on that. I don't have any in my brain right now, nothing
So
on that
I
one.
do have a.
Jody Kahn.
Oh,
Okay,
Jody
can-
Kahn.
can-
Oh,
wait,
I do have an update on that one.
Let's just try to go through it. So
Yeah.
just to go back, Brian Oaks, everything is set with that. We don't have any other than, 'cause I saw somewhere that the fire department people reviewed that, or no, I guess that was another one.
Oh, Bounds. Yeah, fire department reviewed the Bounds townhomes.
Just Brian Oaks. Are we all
Okay.
set with 640 Depot Bay? Not Depot Bay. Depot Street.
I still need to confirm all the SDC fees are paid because I
That's-
didn't see anything in the folder. They have not submitted a final, they did submit a final plat, but it didn't meet the conditions of approval.
Okay.
So they're redrawing that and I don't
So
know what
that's
the,
in progress, but.
Yeah.
But nothing, okay.
yeah, nothing on that one.
And then Kelly Street.
Let's see, Kelly Street. So Browns.
Yeah.
So this is a question I have for the commission. When I looked through the staff
Okay.
report and then the decision for the conditional use permit,
no,
because
that makes sense.
it's like it originally was for four units. It looks like it was a presumption those were gonna be rented. I just found out today from Benton County, they submitted a building permit application for 3 townhomes, which that was the plans that the fire reviewed, but it's gonna be for ownership and not rental. So how that's looked at, with looking at the conditional use permit, it's like it was all presumed that it was gonna be functioning as those 2 lots are function as a single zoning lot. They're rentals, so there wouldn't need to be any partitioning of the lots. But if they're 3 townhomes, the only way I can see that they could proceed forward they would have to do some sort of replat that the building is 3 tax lots and then the common lot with HOA CCR. But then will that trigger enough of a modification that's gonna have to go back through to get an updated conditional use permit? So that's,
Yeah, because there'll be 3 water meters and everything.
yeah. So that changes the scope a little bit. So I'm waiting on the
stick with
county
one
to
plan.
submit, like, give me the piece of like how their
Right.
scope of work and their building permit so I can see what's going on. But they red flagged. It's like, well, this would need to be more than 1 lot. I'm like, yeah, for 3 townhomes and with the different ownership, yes.
Okay, so in that case, permits weren't issued. They're waiting.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that one's gonna have a kind of a hold of anything and it may have to come back to us. The only way I can see that we could get around that with based on what was already approved, if it was a rent to own and the current owner is still owning the property outright, then for the short term, there would be a case, but then we're gonna have to have some sort of agreement that go post planning. It'd be like with the city and the property owner of when to submit
That's messy.
a partition. It gets messy, but it's like you'd have to have a recorded agreement if we proceed with that. But it's like if it really is that they're expecting those to be owned separately, then I think that we would have to go back and redo the conditional use permit based on the new scope and parameters and probably a partition to go along with it.
And I want to bump, I missed one here.
Oh.
Just one question on the Depot, not Bay, Depot Street site. We just heard that she has not, I heard today she has not filed partition application.
She
Here
can't
it said
find
it
the
was filed.
And she can't find the application, but
But she hasn't filed it yet.
Needs one provided to her.
yeah.
And
so
she needs to know
I-
how much it
So
is.
how,
yeah, I need to look and see what's all in the folder because I thought there was a partition approval. for that.
So this is what you were bringing up, which was, and part of the confusion sounds like this is restarting the thing with Bluebird that got shut down. Right?
Bluebird Winery was gonna be in the
Oh,
front
yeah,
now.
Bluebird Hill, yeah.
Oh.
And
Okay,
they
yeah,
got-
yeah.
They got ill. They're selling the winery.
So they pulled back and then
Yeah, but there's something new going on.
then there's something new.
Okay.
Right.
That's right.
I
So-
did not have that context. So now my brain's.
First it was Polson.
Yeah.
Was applying for
Oh,
theirs, and
that's-
then Bluebird was taking over. They were remodeling it, and then it got flooded and then it ruined their plan. And then,
And
but
then they
the
sold
plan was
places.
there was gonna be a shop behind where
Tasting
people
room.
could do like farmer's market or whatever type of business was gonna be back there.
That was the Basaraba concept.
Right, so.
We don't know what the new one is.
Well, the new one now is partitioning and selling the one partition to the existing business person, I believe. And, but that work has not been done yet.
To whom?
The current business trucks.
Oh, the
Trucks.
food trucks, yeah.
So,
Property on the south side.
yeah, but there's an
Oh.
easement going through there too that has to be dealt with.
Yeah, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
have
Depot
to
Street,
do
yeah.
a new pre-app meeting for that one. Now that I have that context, like we're back at square
So
one
my
again.
question is, if the partition process for the commercial lot like that, does that come before the planning commission? Because
Yes, it's,
okay.
a partition is a type 2, yeah, would go before the planning commission for any decision.
That partition could raise a lot of questions about.
And keep in mind that Steve Rose also owns that part of that property off of Kelly. So he owns that.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Behind the trucking business.
Oh,
Where that
and Dollar
Conex
General
container
and all
is
that.
blocking all the parking over there.
Yeah.
That's his.
Okay, so I, yeah, that
One that's
application is
building that.
pending, and a partition application would have to come before the planning commission.
Yeah.
Once she files it. we
Files.
can
And
kind of see
and
what.
it sounds like we're gonna need a new pre-app meeting so I can get a scope of everything and then deal with any easements and see how to proceed with that.
Well, and that I think to echo John's point, which is that property has been kind of fraught and going through all these different kind of permutations, but the interest to this commission is that it's the very heart of the city and like a very important, very, very important piece of real estate in terms of dictating how the city grows and works and all of that stuff. So I think
That's
that's
under the Riverside District.
Yep.
Plan.
And a truck stop was never part of the plan.
No, it was not.
but we can discuss
Not as
it, but
ugly
it
as can
needs to
be.
be something that's just not kind of like a kick down the
We
road.
can maybe get rid of the truck stop. Who knows? In the discussion, it's like that could be.
Well, that's why I was hoping, those are the kind of things that whenever it comes forward,
Mhm.
there's some loaded, there's some,
Yeah.
some dynamics there that have to be discussed.
Okay. And then if we have any questions when for a pre-app meeting, I'll just do an email to you all of like some of those concerns, so I can maybe get those brought up in a pre-app meeting, and then and so when they do a resubmittal, get something that's closer to conforming with addressing those concerns, because I like to identify those issues early. And and if the pre-app meeting is done correctly, you identify those issues. So then when something's coming before the planning commission, it's hopefully has flushed out most or all of those concerns.
Yep.
Okay, so Jody Khan's property,
Yeah.
that is changing because what stopped that is that the zoning verification letter never got to him in time to get to the lender, so the house is null and void. What he's wanting to do now, he's working on a new proposal because the Conex containers he wanted to put in the fenced area of their storage is an absolute no per the fire department. So he's working on possibly using where the house is at, demoing the house and then creating the Conex containers in a row there, but that's going to trigger some screening and probably a little bit of landscaping and then making sure that it meets all the fire requirements. So he's supposed to be submitting at some point a new rough proposal. I'm gonna at least run it by the fire department, like, does this meet fire? Because if the answer is no, then I don't even want to do a pre-app meeting or anything
Right.
like that. I just want, it's like, but he was much more amenable once I said, well, because of this unfortunate situation, now you have the opportunity to do that here because it's zoned right. And it's like, yeah, it's like for the Conex containers, that's the only spot he could possibly promise about where the house is at, but he's gonna have to do it in a very specific way with setbacks and screening to make sure it doesn't affect neighboring properties.
How are Connex boxes correlated to tax and on a tax base for Monroe? How's it gonna benefit Monroe
Yeah, that's
and the look for the Riverside District?
because the
Things to
only
consider.
because when I'm looking through the overlay district, and the only thing, since it doesn't quite reach the bar because the cost of the Conex containers doesn't reach that threshold of substantial redevelopment, all I can do as conditions that it has to look like the existing building that's there, like color and scheme wise. That's about the only thing I can see that I can enforce based on what value the cons containers are not that expensive. So the amount of potential, like the cost of that compared to the assessed value, it's like.
He's using the Conex containers for storage units. Is that what he's
Yeah,
using it for?
It's like, but it'll have to be where the
Where the
house was going to go.
the manufactured home is
Yeah.
right now.
And how's the neighbors gonna think about that?
No, at least get to say any concerns and that's where I'm like there, and I did say that to him in our after I said, well, the original proposal is a definite no-go for the fire department, that he's gonna have to consider screening and possibly some landscaping around that, because we don't want where it's gonna impact traffic. And there's one area, if he puts it in that way, it's going to be the least impactful, but I've got to see if that's what comes about. But I did kind of give, if you're going to go with a proposal, you might want to think about this access drive and using it and loop around, and then the containers in the middle, and then screening. And so that's kind of.
How does Philomath deal with Conex boxes?
For Les Schwab, it was allowed. This is where I got in a little kerfuffle with the building official with Benton County. It's like they didn't go through the building permit in the proper process. So it was the opposite, where I'm like, I didn't know temporary containers needed it if it was outside of the floodplain. So that was something new to me. It's like, but it makes sense. It's like, it's got to be able to withstand 60-mile-an-hour winds. So it's got to be anchored. It's got to be on a concrete pad, even though for in this case it was Les Schwab and Philomath, it's temporary until they build the new building that's going to store.
Just basically warehouse.
Yeah, it's just temporary until they get the funds from corporate to build them.
Concept of a used storage boxes for shipping containers.
Yeah.
for storage units.
Yeah.
So it's not something they're gonna tax as a business.
Yeah,
Just
no,
storage.
yeah, it's just store. Yeah, it's just treated as
But
storage.
down here, you wanna use it for a business.
Yeah, where it's accessory, so it'd be still like storage in the industrial zone isn't allowed use. So unless the overlay district said that no more storage, there's not, like, from the planning perspective, I can't say he can't do that, but
Well,
we can't put conditions on.
The city of Monroe has so little commercial
Yeah,
along the highway. It's a real big bummer, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So
and things like from like at the city council level, and planning commission is something to think about. It's like, for that district, what is the intent of it? Like, if it's redevelopment for commercial and being the gateway so people stay and whatnot, then it's like, are we wanting to have industrial and like storages and industrial use, wanting that there? Because with the existing overlay district, there's nothing that's telling me I can't, or that it can't be done, because commercial and industrials kind of morph together as allowed use in that overlay district for industrial. So that's kind of, when I peeled all the layers back, I'm like, well, there isn't anything that says that storage can't be done in this context. But that's something I think, if that's going against the vision of Monroe, then that's something that might need a bigger discussion of how to do that. So that way there is that cohesive along the highway corridor.
We'll talk about that next meeting.
Yeah.
So his plan 3 would be, you have to come back to the planning commission.
Yeah, it's like, and it's going to be a site design review, and it'll have to go before the planning commission.
Great.
I'd love to see concept pictures.
Well, we did surge already, and we did the
Yeah.
brickyard.
And a brickyard I talked about. Station 456, I need the, I
I'm
don't
sorry,
remember.
one thing,
Oh, sorry.
before we get past the brickyard.
Mhm.
This discussion that was brought up, that you guys were talking about with Rule 9 and the supply of industrial zone property. I don't remember us ever having a conversation about that. That was news to me.
Yeah.
So I wondered if that was something that we could put on the agenda for our
Yeah,
next meeting.
absolutely. And it's like, and maybe even forget Patrick in here on that too. It's like because that, to my understanding, and this was my time also doing things in Adair Village, if you break the inventory either 20-year on housing or on industrial or commercial, you're in violation of the Oregon land use law, because each municipality within the urban growth county has to have a 20-year inventory of all of those things,
But we need-
regardless of whether that's the best land or not. That part's, it's just, you have to have that land
Yeah.
available within the
What are you
UGB.
talking about? Brickyard property.
So
It's zoned industrial?
yeah,
Oh,
a
okay.
good
No,
chunk,
so you
yeah.
have to have a certain amount of it for 20 inventory.
And with everything that's in that overlay district, there isn't really any functional industrial land. And I would argue like with how the overlay, you wouldn't want that anyway. But that part that's outside of the overlay that's industrial, that's zoned industrial. So
I
until,
mean, that's what it was.
Yeah.
It's a good location for it.
could it theoretically be rezoned because it's adjacent to that? Yes, it could be. However, the challenge is if they don't, yeah, it's the inventory. That's what's
Inventory
gonna-
is the key.
Yeah.
And to this guy Chet's point,
Mhm.
then if it sounds like the city needs to develop some kind of strategic
Yeah.
vision with respect to how we are facilitating
Yeah.
any movement of that
Yeah.
that zone around within the UGB, right?
And yeah, and it's like, and
we haven't done anything like that.
yeah, and it's like, and that's where I'm like, possibly that there was an email that Dan had sent to me about with like some help from DLCD on like reviewing the development code. And I said, it's like, even though it's from a housing production perspective, I think there's gonna be some value to that and it wouldn't cost the city any money. And it's like that we should go.
We need to have that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's gonna be a piece that helps too.
Right.
The part I don't know, so this is the part I didn't say in that discussion because it's, I think, a little premature for me to even assert it, is has the state's perspective changed with the pressure for housing production with respect to a rezone of something adjacent and possibly not having 20 years of industrial land? I don't know the answer to that question, but it's like from a like how it's traditionally been done with like Oregon land use law. It's like I would be very trepidatious to do that, even if the concept was much more flush and had more commercial or like industrial and like a live work kind of thing. It's like there might have been some wiggle room to make that work, but on its face, it's so much residential, not enough within that zone. And so it's like and like the amount that they provided for business space and industrial space was so small in comparison to everything. So I think if they made it like 70-30 with some commercial and industrial, I think there would have been some wiggle room to be able to work with it. And so it's like, I'm hoping that's not like not a no, it's just like they're going to have to rethink their plan a bit and be more strategic on trying to do something similar, but change the layout or whatnot and add more. And I think they don't want to add more commercial or light industrial.
It might be another developer that needs
Yeah.
to be doing this. Okay.
But it's kind of shocking that it's like that hadn't come up before, but but in previous planners, I don't know if they had to study all of the Oregon land use law classes. I mean, I did all of them. It was like,
So there's a question of industrial set aside. Is it industrial commercial or are those two separate things? So much commercial, so much
yeah,
industrial.
so much commercial, so much industrial. Yeah. So it's a combination of everything. And I would say, do we even have 20-year inventory in commercial is another valid question right now.
Yeah.
And I think having the overlay district if the overlay district was to the river, then this project would have been perceivably could go. But then the other thing is like, even if all that was good to go, it's like, and it was work, it rezone the residential, we had the 20-year inventory, then you run into the issue of the one-time overlay expansion where we would then be a no versus a yes. So that's another layer, but we don't even get to that because there's the issue with that's industrial land right now, and unless they can show that they can provide something with to keep to the 20-year inventory, I don't have any, I wouldn't be able to approve it and the state would be able to object even if I did.
Okay. All right. Okay, any other questions? Any other comments?
Food cart's gonna go in over here.
Where?
Brady's.
I think she's working on it right now. Try to figure out the water part.
They look like they're insulating.
And despite all the findings, I feel like I've done very little of getting things to the finish line.
Talk of a 10-inch sewer line that comes in I thought it was a 6-inch line anyways.
It's a 6-inch.
But it's 10, I think it's 10-inch, you said south of the Loving Field, I think.
Yeah.
So where all those hydrants and stuff are.
Regardless, it's inadequate.
It's inadequate because when it hits the
Lift station.
it's
Yeah.
6.
I think that's inadequate, and then that's a whole nother issue.
And is Loving I didn't look at the map. Is Loving's property industrial? I thought it was
I think it's a
all.
mix of commercial and
I
residential.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, the Loving's mostly industrial and
It
then
is.
the other one is mostly the GRB residential, or do I have that flipped around?
No, the other one was Brickyard.
The
literally.
Brickyard's
Oh, yeah,
industrial
bricks.
and Loving.
But I heard,
Oh.
I heard somebody mention
Industrial,
that the
commercial.
Loving property was industrial. And I thought it was all
It's a mix.
commercial and residential.
It's in, I
Yeah,
think,
there's some industrial in that
There
one as
is.
well. Yeah.
All right.
And then I am gonna definitely bring up the question to Patrick about the bridge that never got built and whether that could be part of the SB 1537 to provide the sewer capacity and resolve the issue for housing production.
That would solve a big issue for us.
As Chuck pointed out,
Mhm.
that creates a whole years and years worth of permitting versus just boring a new hole underneath the river.
Well, yeah,
The boring, expanding the size of the existing hole underneath it.
pipe bursting the existing. Yeah.
Well,
Basically
it's a lot
utilizing the same-
cheaper.
Mhm.
We're talking 3 million for the bridge. We're talking
And just the time.
$250,000 for the borough.
So I'm not sure about the permitting. That's why we need to, so I'm saying the permitting, when we worked with the Army Corps on if it's the permitting for the bridge was like less complicated
Mhm.
than permitting for the boring under the river.
Well, a new hole.
Yeah.
A new hole under the river was gonna be way complicated. Expanding the size of the current hole was the easiest and quickest way to go.
Path of least resistance, no pun
Then
intended.
over it, you got, they worried about, you talking about.
Yeah.
I'd like to offer a perspective about the Chuck opinions. So I don't know Chuck very well. Based upon the last meeting, I do know that the suggestion that we have a second opinion from engineers on everything that he's saying makes total sense, rather than us taking it to the bank necessarily from one expert, because that's also how we got into the whole trouble with you know who. So maybe we don't just jump to conclusions based upon what somebody says. So
First and foremost, engineer of record on.
that's
board.
right.
Review
That's
everything.
absolutely
We
right.
need that to review everything.
Everybody needs to double check each other. and then we can-
Yes.
Well, the bottom line
I'm
is,
checking you.
Oh,
Tony.
really? Okay, good.
bottom line is Chuck.
You and I,
sign off
all
on
right.
stuff. So if he doesn't sign off, then we don't get anything.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We adjourn.